Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Los Angeles City Council meeting for March 23, 2007. Welcome to the John Ferraro Memorial Council Chambers here in room 340 of City Hall, where we meet every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. And we welcome members of the public to join us here in City Hall. And the first Friday of the month, we meet at our Van Nuys City Hall, and we welcome members of the public who live closer to Van Nuys City Hall to join us there. And we also take our city council meetings on the road, as we have recently, down to the southern stretches of the city in Council District 15. I want to also welcome our television viewers on Channel 35 through the city's cable system, LA City View, your city channel. We are broadcast live and rebroadcast each evening on tape. We also are available online through our city's homepage at www.lacity.org, where you can listen to live streaming webcasts of our council meetings. Finally, if you're not close to a television or a computer, you can always call our audio service called Council Phone. It's a way of listening into our council meetings and our committee meetings at 213-621-CITY. Our agendas are available online at lacity.org, at our city clerk's office, or here in council chambers. And we commend to you our council ambassadors, local high school students who can help you navigate the ins and outs of city council. They're often in the back of this room. And lastly, we invite members of the public to testify here for our general public comment, which is for the public to give their opinions and comments on things that are under our jurisdiction but not on our agenda. And lastly, you can also testify on items that have not yet had a public hearing in committee here in City Council. All items that the City Council considers will receive a public hearing either in committee or in full council pursuant to the Brown Act, California state law. I want to thank the council members who are here pursuant to council rules on time. Council members Gruhl, Hahn, Labange, Perry, Weiss, and Zine. I would like to invite our other council members to join us. Councilmember Reyes is excused today. But otherwise, we are waiting for Councilmember Cardenas. We're waiting for Councilmember Huizar. We are waiting for Councilmember Parks, Councilmember Rosendahl, Councilmember Smith, and Councilmember Wesson, who will be coming in a little bit later. If those members can please make their way down. As is customary on Fridays, we honor members of our city family and notables in the community for achievements that they have made, and I'd like to recognize for our first presentation from the 2nd Council District, our President Pro Tem, Councilwoman Wendy Gruhl.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, you've seen me before standing here with some of the same people talking about Mediation Day in the city of Los Angeles. And so I'm asking you, my colleagues, to join me in declaring March 23rd as the 3rd annual Mediation Day in the city of Los Angeles. As I've stated in the past, it is my hope that we can continue to increase public awareness and encourage people to use mediation alternatives rather than going to court. We know how much time, effort, money it takes to go to court, where some things can be worked out through mediation. Not only, as I mentioned, going to court costs more than just money, it costs time away from your family and the things that you enjoy most. Mediation is the confidential and voluntary process in which a neutral third party facilitates communication between people to resolve their disputes. In the city, mediation is actually made available through our city attorney's dispute resolution program with all of us who know Avis Ridley Thomas. It's a free service funded by the County of Los Angeles, and over 1,200 trained volunteer mediators are available to help resolve disputes. So if you're watching this today or in the audience today or watching it this weekend as we have review Channel 35 on Sunday, know that there are alternatives to going to court. As a member of the Government Efficiency Committee, I know that it is so important to improve efficiency in all areas of government. The promotion of this service will not only benefit the city of Los Angeles and its residents, it's going to be through a fair, quick, and free process, but it also will relieve some of our congested judicial system. And so that is why we are declaring today the 3rd Annual Mediation Day in the City of Los Angeles. Today we have several members of the city and community who make this possible, and you will hear from some of them this morning. But I'd like to introduce, I think she will introduce the people who are with us today. Jan Frankel Shaw, who is the president of the Southern California Mediation Association, that is here with us today. If we could give her a round of applause for Mediation Day in Los Angeles.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman Gruhl. And we do so appreciate both the City of Los Angeles and the City Council and those of you that have participated in mediation. We do feel strongly that there's a growing alliance between government and private mediators, professional mediators, as well as volunteer and public mediators. And just some of the examples is we're working with a variety of groups such as police departments in community and police issues. We're working with, we've just rented an office with the Western Justice Center, which trains our youth in mediation prospects and procedures. And so I do appreciate the growing partnership and alliance with you. And we're here for you to the extent that you will use our services to help to mediate disputes. It does work. It's very effective. And now it's my pleasure to introduce one of my colleagues, Scott Carr. Where are you, Scott? Scott is an attorney with the Association of Business Trial Lawyers of Los Angeles, a statewide organization. He is with the, sorry, he's not with that firm. He's with Green, Brolette, and Wheeler, and he is a board member of the ABTLA, and I'm pleased to say that he also endorses and supports mediation in this community. Thanks, Scott.
Thank you, Jan. On behalf of the Association of Business Trial Lawyers, we thank Councilwoman Gruhl and the City Council for honoring the mediators and for recognizing the role that mediation plays in our judicial system. In particular, for small businesses and for individuals who don't have the time or the money or the financial wherewithal to go to court, mediation is an invaluable part of that system. So once again, raising awareness is important, and I thank the Council and Councilwoman Gruhl for raising that awareness, and hopefully more people will utilize the system of mediation so that it unclogs, to some extent, the judicial system, which is unfortunately overcrowded these days. Excuse me. I would like to now introduce Randall Dean of the law firm of Chapman, Glucksman, and Dean. Randy is the incoming president of the Association of Southern California Defense Counsel. Randy.
And I'd like to recognize, just if I may, in between, Councilmember Rosendahl wanted to say a kind word as well.
Other colleagues would like to say something, but the bottom line is what you do is offer a service that we need. We need to resolve our disputes without going through a court system if we can. In my district, I have issues of homelessness, where you've been involved in. We have issues of gang violence, which you've been involved in, and you've been helping me in Oakwood in a lot of other issues. So it is a strategy that makes sense. I applaud you for all the work you do. Continue to do the good work, and thank you, Wendy, for making this presentation possible. Thank you all. Bless you.
Thank you. Again, my name is Randall Dean, and I'm incoming president of the Association of Southern California Defense Counsel, which is the largest civil defense organization at the state and local level in the country. And I say, on behalf of the ASCDC, that mediation in Los Angeles is absolutely essential to the efficient operation of the civil justice system. Without it, our courts would not operate. We have the largest court system in the country on a state level, and quite simply, our system of justice would stop without the important work that the volunteer and professional mediators do at all levels. And so we thank the City Council for recognizing the importance of the mediation process in the City of Los Angeles. It's my pleasure now to introduce Max Factor, who is a member of the International Academy of Mediators and is former president of the Southern California Mediation Association. Max.
I'm here really to say thank you, too. 33 years ago, I was in this chamber with what is now a council where no one has the same name. And I came in right after Roger Arnberg worked for Burt Pines, and one of the first things we were asked to do was to set up a city attorney hearing officer program that dealt with, we had domestic abuse cases, we had neighbors who were fighting, we had the drug gang problems, and that still 33 years later, that process of reconciliation is still ongoing. And during the succeeding 33 years, I left the city attorney's office. I'm a full-time mediator. I delight in assisting and working with counsel and with their clients to help bring about resolutions of disputes without the necessity of going to court. And I thank you for your recognition of mediation.
Avis Ridley Thomas from the City Attorney's Dispute Resolution Program. And I want to thank Councilwoman Gruhl again for recognizing the importance of mediation in our city. We have trained volunteers, 1,500 now in the City Attorney's Office. We are opening a new office in West Los Angeles with the assistance of Councilman Weiss and his staff. We've been able to secure that facility, and the grand opening invitation is at your desk. And I encourage members of the public to call our office, the Dispute Resolution Program, to obtain more information about that. But mediation is terribly important in our community for reducing violence, preventing the escalation of disputes, and certainly helping to ensure that the court system operates more efficiently. Thank you so much again, and I'd like to introduce the founder of Mediation Day and a private mediator, Dan Ben-Zvi.
Thank you. I'll take 20 seconds to thank Councilwoman Wendy Gruhl for her support, and I'm just going to say, to wrap this up, that mediators are people who guide people to a resolution. They don't impose a solution. So I'm going to leave the council chamber with this thought, and with everybody here today, that to go to litigation, to court, to trial, to a jury, to arbitration, where a solution will be imposed on your problem, on your dispute, before going to mediation, is like going to surgery before trying to take medication. So mediate first, and thank you, City, for the support.
Thank you very much, Dan, and you always have a good way of an analogy to how important mediation is, and I think every now and then in the city council we could use mediation sometimes. Thank you very much, Mr. President, and thank you to all of the members who are here today to support us in declaring a Mediation Day in the city of Los Angeles. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. And a good day to declare it. Thank you very much, Ms. Gruhl. If we can call the roll, please.
Cardenas, Gruhl, Hahn, Weezer, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Westenstein, Garcetti, 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Okay. First order of business, please.
Approval of the minutes.
Ms. Perry moves and Mr. Weiss seconds. If there's no objection, they'll be unanimously approved.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Rosendahl moves and Ms. Hahn seconds. If there's no objection, those will be approved as well. We can run through the agenda.
First item on the agenda is, items 1 through 9 are items for which public hearings have been held. Reports have been submitted on 1, 2, 3, 4, and 8, and on item number 2, that is a communication from the Chair of Arts Parks, and a public hearing is required on that one.
Okay. So let's go ahead and hold the commissioners on the table, and we will hold 3 for a public hearing. Next items?
Do you wish to adopt the rest of them?
Oh, yeah.
That would be
Is there any
items.
specials 4 through 9, colleagues? 7 for Mr. Weiss? Are there specials? Seeing none, let's go ahead, and we do need a motion on 4, is that correct, too?
Yes,
Okay. And
and that can be the chair of the committee.
he is not with us, but I will move that forward, and Ms. Perry will second that. Let's go ahead and open the roll on the balance. I'm sorry, do we need a motion on 8 as well?
Yes, Mr. President.
Okay. Item number 8, colleagues, that came out of public safety, is that correct? I see-
Public
That's
Works.
directly from Public Works. So Mr. Rosendahl will move that. And let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Those are approved. Next items, please.
Next items are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration. And, Mr. President, on item number 10, that is an ordinance that affects retirement, so that will go over for second reading to April 24th.
Okay. And we do have cards on 18, 20, 23, 24, and 28.
And also, I believe 12 council members are expected today. Do you wish to hold item 11 on the desk?
Yes, let's hold the ordinance on the desk. Other specials, colleagues? 10 through 28. Yes, Mr. Parks?
19.
19 for Mr. Parks. Other specials? Seeing none, we'll go ahead, open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
Eleven ayes.
Those are approved.
And also for council's recommendation, item number 10 does go over to April 24th.
Okay, great. And next items?
Mr. President, do you wish to take up the special meeting at this time?
Yes, please. Let's go ahead and call the roll.
Cardenas, Gruel, Han, Weezer, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Weston, Zine, Garcetti, 11 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Okay. Let's call 29 special. Ms. Perry?
Next item is an item for, or items for which public hearings have been held, items 30 and 31. 30 is a commissioner. Do you wish to hold that on the desk?
Please, let's hold the commissioner nomination on the desk.
And on 31, the committee report has been submitted and distributed to the council members.
Okay, and that is the Power X on 31. Ms. Perry moves that?
I got picked up. I also wanted to call 34 special.
Okay, when we get to 34, I'll call that special. 31, report has been submitted. So why don't we hold that on the desk for 12 members as well? Next items?
Next items are items 32 through 34. A public hearing has not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay. See if we have any cards. Seeing none, we'll open and close the public hearings for those.
And
Specials, we have Ms. Perry for 34. Sorry, Madam Clerk, is there something else?
No, that
Okay.
was 34. call
32 and
special.
33, colleagues, anybody? If not, let's go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. And 35 we'll call special as well. If we can continue those back into the regular meeting, please. And with that, I'd like to continue our council presentations for this morning. And next, I'd recognize our Assistant President Pro Tem, Councilwoman Jan Perry, for 2 presentations.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. First, I would like to call Mr. Todd Flora and Gail Halcrum from IBM forward. Hi, Flora. Nice to meet you. Hi, Councilwoman. Take your tag off. It helps. I'm honored to recognize IBM of Los Angeles, an organization who believes that it is not only essential to invest in business, but to invest in the community. IBM is committed to donating equipment, time, and expertise while partnering with other organizations and their staff to make our community a better place in which to live. Their commitment to community was particularly apparent in the last 12 months when 275 dedicated IBM employees volunteered nearly 11,000 hours of community service and donated more than $1.5 million in cash and technology to schools and local charities. Their overwhelming eagerness to do more in the community has led them to sponsor such educational events as the National Black Family Technology Week, National Engineers Week, and La Familia Technology Week. So I wanted to thank IBM of Los Angeles and its employees for their generosity and commitment to education, charitable foundations, and the community at large, and for hosting these important educational events that promote computer literacy and work towards bridging the digital divide. For this reason, it's a pleasure to present them with a certificate for their commitment to bringing these resources to the community. With that, Mr. Todd Flora is our IBM Corporate Community Relations Manager, and Gail Halcrum is the Transition Manager. and I'd love to invite them to the podium to say a few words. Do either one of you want to say something?
Sure. Should we make a picture first? First of all, thank you, Councilwoman Perry, for recognizing us today. We're very, very touched by that. IBMers throughout the community are very committed to our schools and our nonprofit community centers, volunteering all of those hours. And I want to thank you for your leadership in your district, the 9th Council District, and we certainly look forward to working more closely with you and the schools and community centers in your area to talk to you and spread our many grants, our software grants and other resources to organizations in your district. And as well as you other council members, we look forward to working throughout the city of Los Angeles. IBM is very committed to not only corporate philanthropy, but building partnerships that are really that will really sustain and improve student achievement. Our focus is often K through 12 education and reaching some of those that have not been given the resources or don't have the resources they need to succeed, always tying technology and the use of technology into solving those problems. And we look forward to connecting with you and your staff. And I do want to introduce Gail Halcrom, also myself, who is not only busy in her work as an IBM executive, but volunteers her time as chair of our African American Diversity Network Group. We are very serious with our diversity network groups throughout IBM, lesbian, gay, transsexual, women, Latino, Asian, and African American diversity network groups. So Gail?
Thank you, Councilwoman Perry, and the City of Los Angeles for this recognition. IBM is very dedicated to serving the community and for giving back. And one of the things that's important to us is making sure that the schools and the families for underserved communities are able to participate in some of our programs like Mentor Place, like our La Familia Black Family Technology Awareness Week, so that they realize the importance of having technology in their homes, in the schools. So I thank you once again.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. I have one more presentation.
And let me add my congratulations to Mr. Flora. We appreciate your presence here.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd also like to call up someone you probably already know, at least by voice, if not by face. Jackie Stevens of KJLH, Loretta Roberts, Ricky Rosales, and Cynthia Davis. Simon Stevenson. You're the executive director. The AIDS coordinator. You are. He is the AIDS coordinator. Jackie, how are you?
I'm fine.
All right. Now, when you hear Jackie's voice, I think you'll recognize her dulcet tones. And it's always a pleasure to talk to some of the on-air personalities from KJLH, and Jackie is special. She represents one of the leading urban contemporary radio stations in the country. KJLH first hit the airwaves in 1965, and over the years has won many, many awards, the Peabody, LA Press Club, NAACP Image Awards. What is remarkable about KJLH and about Jackie is their commitment to educate, to outreach, to teach, and to focus on social and humanitarian issues. Now, I heard Jackie on the radio just the other day talking with another woman who I think is participating in the conference about what the upbringing you had and how it shaped you and prepared you for the career that you're in today and how you were raised. Am I right?
Yes.
And I listened very carefully. As you know, I always listen to what you say because I look for those elements in your life that maybe apply to my life, and maybe it's because, you know, you're a woman and the way you speak to people. There's a lot that you say that I think many people can relate to and learn from. And I'm sure that's why you're so deeply involved in the Health Forum. This weekend on March the 24th, KJLH will be hosting, along with many others, the Women's Health Forum at the Los Angeles Convention Center, and it'll focus on the impact of HIV and hepatitis on women of color. It will bring together, the forum will bring together health advocates, doctors, and provide free health information and health screenings. This health-conscious event could potentially save the lives of African American, and Latino women who are at much higher risk of contracting HIV and hepatitis. So I wanted to thank Jackie in particular for being so open and sharing her views and bringing forth other people to speak on the topic on air, and to thank KJLH in the way that they positively impact the lives of women in our whole community. And I know that they're going to continue to link us together. One of the most interesting experiences is to go on air on the front page at, what is it, 4 in the morning?
4:30.
4:30 in the morning, and to be amazed at how many people are actually awake. But you have a following. The show has a following, and it's a radio station we cannot do without. So I wanted to take a moment just to thank everyone here. And if, Jackie, if you wouldn't mind, just say a few words, and then we'll have Simon talk a bit about the forum itself. But I want you to say a few words about yourself, and I want you to know that you mean a lot to all of us.
Wow. And she wants me to say something. Really, the best thing that I can say is to put in a humble way, thank you very much for the recognition, not so much for myself, just another person. Grew up in Chicago, born and reared, came on out to Los Angeles, where a whole new world, been out here 20-plus years and working in the industry, got to know the community in depth, and it's that community who has the problems of health, poor health, disparities are strong, that we're trying to work with to help eradicate, at least lessen. And I want to also thank my coworker, Loretta Roberts, who's working very hard on the project. Thank you, Jan.
Thank you, Jackie. Simon, yeah.
Hi, good morning again. Thank you, Council Member. Steve Simon, City AIDS Coordinator. I just had to stop by and also thank you for commending KJLH, Jackie and Loretta, on their incredible work. This health forum is this Saturday from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m., 1 p.m.? 2. This is not just a talking heads conference. This is going to be some proactive, interactive work for women and their health. There will be testing on site, everything from mammograms to HIV testing on site. People will be able to talk to doctors, get referrals. This is very proactive and fits very well in the city's plan of, even though we don't have a health department, we desperately care about the health and well-being of our communities. So thank you, KJLH, for partnering with us. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Councilmember, for recognizing their work.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks, Mr. President. Now we're going to go in the back. Get your purse and everything. We'll go in the back.
Thank you very much, Ms. Perry. And for our next presentation, we have Councilwoman from Council District 15. She's on? Okay. Maybe while we're waiting, Mr. Parks, are you ready to go? Okay. We'll recognize Mr. Parks, Council District 8, for our next presentation.
Introduce several people that perform a tremendous service for the 8th District and the city in general. They're the Genesee Center that deals with domestic violence. And today we have Karen Earl, the Executive Director, and then Lena Cole Dennis, the Outreach and Community Education Director. And then we also have a number of their board members. We have Pat Green, Andrea Lamar, Felicia Hudson, and also Janie Ani. Okay, Mrs. Moore. And Dave Pascal. Okay, they're here today because we're going to honor them because of the 27 years of service that they provided in the 8th District. They opened in 1980. It was a vision of 5 women, 4 of whom were victims of domestic violence, who pledged to offer their services and that did not have the opportunity in their local community to receive domestic violence training. They also, with that center, impact thousands of women and children. They offer 24-hour service, 7 days a week with a hotline, 2 drop-in centers, also a residential and non-residential care facility, 2 shelter facilities and community outreach. In 1997, they were awarded the Community Service Award from the African American Chamber, and very recently, they received a Community Service Award from the Trumpet Award in Atlanta, Georgia, where they received a van to assist them in their services from General Motors. One of the things also that's important to me is that Karen is the representative of the 8th District on the citywide Domestic Violence Council, and she was one of the first people that brought to my attention the seriousness of the change in the way the city began to count crime stats as it relates to domestic violence, and how it will put the city now and in the future in some jeopardy of receiving adequate funds because it does not any longer reflect that domestic violence is a Part 1 crime. And so we wanted to honor them today, and it's going to let Karen talk about their event that's coming up this weekend, but we wanted to make sure that we highlighted their efforts in the community and also highlight their event, which is going to be their major fundraiser. So let me present a certificate to Genesis from the City Council and all elected officials, and we'd like to present that to you. But I'm not going to give it to you right now because I'm going to ask you to speak.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Parks. On behalf of Genesee Center Board of Directors, Pat Green, Dave Pascal, and thanks to all the friends and supporters I see today. Thanks to Genesee staff member Adrian Lamar, Lena Cole-Dennis, Director of Outreach and Communications, but there are many other wonderful employees, but they are working at our 6 facilities where women and children are able to live in peace, escaping domestic terrorism. I am pleased to accept this resolution acknowledgement of Genesee's work. It is a special honor that this recognition is from the Los Angeles City Council. We have built strong relationships over the years with many members and their staffs as we try to weave through the government structure to make a difference for our clients. It is not easy, but with relationships we have established with the Los Angeles Council and members like Herb Wesson, who has a wonderful staff, Bernard Parks, who, as he said, appointed me to the city task force so that people and families in the South Los Angeles community will have a voice, an effective and focused voice. Mr. Parks has been a supporter of domestic violence intervention programs going back to when he was chief of police. It was just many times we would receive calls from the men and women in blue with women in their patrol cars who had been battered looking for help, and they would bring them to our office. Thanks to Jan Perry always and Janice Hahn, who always speak out on issues impacting women and children. And thank you, Councilman Labange, who, for the great auction item, he donated for our Silver Rose Gallon auction, which will take place this Sunday, March 25th, 2007, 12 p.m. And I just really like to challenge other city council members to find out what he gave and see if you could top it. Oh, and the location is the Beverly Hills Hotel, 96, well, it's on Sunset, the Pink Hotel, yeah. And it's going to be an incredible event, thanks to people like Janiani Moore, who came on as a fashion chair, and we have incredible opportunities to bid. And also, I would just be so remiss if not to acknowledge Verizon, who is our gala sponsor with a commitment of $50,000. With support like that, Genesee is finally starting to have fundraisers instead of just fundraisers. So we're appreciative. We have other sponsors like Darden and Sempra, and then even council members have provided financial contributions from their own pocket. I'd like to have Lena maybe talk a little bit about some of the auction items that you know of.
We have a shoe, the size, about this size, Shaq's shoe, a basketball. We have a Miami game. We have Laker tickets. Well, I think I'm lying on that one. We have fabulous outfits by somebody popular like
Carolina Herrera.
Carolina Herrera, excuse me. Come on here.
And then we have some fabulous a little black dress with pretty things that's an art item. So if you can't wear it, we have some fabulous art also. And anyway, I think that's about it. But give us a call, and we'll tell you what we have, and we'll save something for you.
Karen, tell them to locate the event one more time.
The event is Sunday from 12 to 4 at the Beverly Hills Hotel, the pink one, on Sunset. And it's a fabulous, honestly, you will never, ever be the same again after you attend a Genesee Center event. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go in the back.
And Ms. Perry wanted to add her good wishes as well?
Before you leave, I've had the pleasure over the years of being supportive of Genesee and volunteering before I was elected, but I just need to know now, so that Bernard can be prepared, is Halle Berry going to be there or not? Okay, because, you know, he'll get all worked up, and then if she doesn't show, then he'll be devastated. So, you know, because she touched his leg or something once, and he still hasn't gotten over it. So I'll see you on Sunday, though. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan.
We're going to go back.
Thank you very much, Mr. Parks. I'd like to acknowledge our president, Eric Garcetti, for a presentation.
Welcome. Got two presentations this morning that I want to thank the Madam President for recognizing me to do. Alan Rich is here, and I'm very pleased to welcome one of the great music writers, not just in this city but in this country, Alan Rich, the classical music critic for Los Angeles Weekly, and whose contributions to criticism and interpretation of Los Angeles' arts is truly unparalleled. Mr. Rich came to Los Angeles as an established critic on two coasts. He was music director for Pacifica's KPFA station in the Bay Area, and then for its WBAI station in New York City beginning in 1960. And in New York, he wrote for the New York Herald Tribune and for its magazine, New York Magazine, reaching a national audience as well as Newsweek's classical music critic for quite some time. He's also taught in New York City at the New School for Social Research and at the University of California, both in Berkeley, which I know we have an alum right here, Mr. Huizar, and in UCLA, which we have a number of alumni here, including the two folks up there, Mr. Weiss and Ms. Gruhl. For the last 15 years, Alan Rich has written a lot of night music column for the LA Weekly, something that I know a lot of us look forward to reading. It's a unique column on our city's artistic life. No one else has had the freedom, the longevity, and the column inches to get inside the rich and diverse life of a single musical scene like Alan has for Los Angeles' classical music scene. Angelinos could be forgiven for thinking that classical music begins and ends at Disney Concert Hall down the street, but if they followed Alan's writing, from concert halls to nightclubs to living rooms, they know that it lives here in Los Angeles in every nook and cranny. Every corner of the city lives and breathes classical music, and it remains a vital presence for our region's lively arts scene. Just last year, Alan published So I've Heard, Notes of a Migratory Music Critic, an incredible, excellent fourth book following the other books he's written, Music Mirror of the Arts, recipient of the Deems Taylor Award, and the 4-volume The Lincoln Center Story, Play by Play, and American Pioneers from Ives to Cage and Beyond. His work not only in a serial manner, but also in these opuses that he's been able to put in book form, really inform not only, again, Los Angeles music scene, but worldwide what classical music is and continues to be as a living presence in our lives. We are proud to have him here with us, and we hope that he continues to write, continues to publish, and most of all, that he continues to listen. And on behalf of the City of Los Angeles, Alan, it is my great pleasure with Mr. Weiss to be able to present to you today this great certificate, to commend you on this great book that you have that's out and the great contributions you've made to Los Angeles. Please give Mr. Rich a round of applause. And the microphone is yours.
First of all, I want to thank the entire Los Angeles Philharmonic for showing up today in uniform. When I came out here in 1979, expecting to spend 1 year, everybody in New York said, "What do you want to go out there for? There's no music, there's no culture, it's all Beach Boys." And unfortunately, Los Angeles was at that time in the captivity of a music critic who believed all those things and tried as best he could to keep the idea of musical progress in some kind of captivity. People out there said, "Why don't you stay?" And so I proceeded to lose my return ticket, and I'm still here. Instead of the cultural desert that I was warned I was going to find in Los Angeles at that time, the New York Times last year devoted an entire front page of its arts and leisure section to an article whose title was "Continental Shift." And what it dealt with was the fact that everything that was said about Los Angeles back in 1979, 80, had completely shifted to the point where culture, especially serious culture represented by classical music and by an opera company that didn't exist in 1980, has now become the central focus of the entire cultural concern of the entire country. We have the best symphony orchestra, one of the top opera companies of the country, and we are a major focus for contemporary creativity in all the arts. And this has all happened in my lifetime, which means, of course, that I should accept credit for it, but I can't because it is the movers and the shakers. I point, for example, there she is, to my friend Judith Rosen, in whose home composers have spoken before invited audiences and had their music played as a part of the building of awareness of contemporary culture in Los Angeles. It's been a wonderful experience watching this city grow. If I've been a part of it, I have nothing but pride to speed my own way. I have another 82 years ahead of me, and I plan to fill it the same way I have in the past. Thank you.
If you're going out for 2 seconds, we'll go in the back. We'll take some pictures. I'm going to do one other presentation. And then
Okay, do I hold on?
yeah,
to
that's
this, or-
this. You own it. You're the proud owner. Duro. If I can ask Councilmember Cardenas and Councilmember Huizar to join me for this presentation. And I know Mr. Reyes wanted to be here as well, but unfortunately he is homesick, but very proud of who we're about to honor. I join with my fellow members today to recognize somebody who has been part of the fabric and history here of Los Angeles for some time, Detective Arturo Plasencia. He started with the Los Angeles Police Department December 31st, 1967, New Year's Eve, at the age of 21. And he thought to himself, in his own words, "This is a great job. I get to work one day and get a holiday the next." It was New Year's Eve. Art holds the dual status of detective and sergeant of police. He was assigned to patrol areas as a policeman and sergeant for 24 years. But he was also assigned to detective divisions for 15 years, 6 years assigned as a detective within the homicide unit, and 7 years as a detective unit supervising coordinator. I didn't know this about my friend Art when I read a British paper online a few months ago that was commemorating the assassination of Bobby Kennedy. But Detective Plasencia was the first officer on the scene of the crime that night when Bobby Kennedy left us all. And he was one of the arresting officers of Sirhan Sirhan. And for those of us who watched the movie Bobby and remember the commemoration of that historic and tragic night here in Los Angeles, this is a man who's part of that living history. During the last 5 years of his career, Detective Plasencia has served as president of LALE, the Latin American Law Enforcement Association, volunteering his time for the advancement of association members. And we today wanted to congratulate him. He was just reelected to that post, and to join my colleagues in the city as a whole in commending Detective 3 Arturo Plasencia on 39 years and 4 months of exemplary, outstanding service to all of the residents of Los Angeles as a member of the Los Angeles Police Department. We thank you for your service and wish you all the best, and love for Councilmember Cardenas and Councilmember Huizar to add a couple words of good wishes as well before we hear from you, Art.
Thank you, Art.
Absolutely.
Arthur, Art, Arturo, whatever you call him, he's very consistent. When he put on a uniform 39 years ago to serve the public, he took that oath seriously and that responsibility, so much so that not only is he a leader when he's in uniform, he's a leader when he's not in uniform. For example, I got to meet Art when I was in the state legislature, and he was an officer, and he was a member of LALE and is today's president. He was someone who was not only a voice for Los Angeles, he was a voice for equality and responsibility for the police department of the city of Los Angeles for a growing population of their membership. To me, that's very important, because I do believe that the only way that we make progress when we need to make progress in areas that may have been neglected or overlooked is when somebody steps out above and beyond the call of duty and does their job, not for themselves, but for everyone else. And Art has exemplified that in everything that he's done, and I'm very proud to say that I've known Art for years now, and I enjoy the opportunity to work with him, and I know that just because he's retired doesn't mean that we're not going to see him anymore. I think that what it means is there's more time for him to talk to us about the things we still need to work on. I welcome that. I'm proud of the work that he's done, and I'm very proud to say that he has been a servant of this city for many, many decades, and he'll continue to serve us, I'm sure, for many decades to come. Thank you, Art.
I certainly want to congratulate Art and thank him for his years of service as I begin my career at City Council, and he's finishing his. I feel quite humbled to stand next to someone who not only served the citizens of Los Angeles in making our streets safer, providing that public safety that's so important to the city, but also volunteering his time to make the police department a better police department, make the police department a more inclusive police department, and that became more reflective of the citizens it serves here. So I want to congratulate you, thank you, and know that it's great to see other people from the great community of Boyle Heights as we have that commonality. And also for Tom LaBonge, wanted to just let you know he's a Garfield graduate, very proud Bulldog. And for someone with that background from East Los Angeles, it's always a pleasure to see that you've done so much for the city and will continue to do so. Thank you so much. Congratulations, and congratulations on your re-election to LALE. Congratulations. Thank you.
You too. Congratulations on your re-election.
And Mr. Garcetti, before we introduce our wonderful honoree here with two members of the council, would also like to add their congratulations. Mr. Zine, followed by Mr. Weiss.
Thank you, Madam President. All the years in the department, our paths crossed many times, and at the Protective League, you were always representing police officers, making sure that they were treated fairly. Your work as a delegate with the Protective League, I know the work with LALE, I attended a number of their events, and you're concerned about making sure that everyone had an equal share of the pie and there were opportunities for everyone. So I want to commend you on that. I think the last time I saw you work in Hollywood Detectives, are you still over there? Northeast Detectives, but you were at Hollywood.
Yes, I worked there 6 years.
6 years at Hollywood Detectives. So I know that your experience is going to be missed. A lot of time for the people of Los Angeles and the ones that are standing behind you, your friends and loved ones, to show their support for you. I had no idea, looking at you, I had no idea that you were going to retire, because you always had that look that I'm going to go out there and catch the bad guy. I didn't know you're going to retire, but I know it's going to be an exciting experience for you and your family. I wish you well in retirement. But again, you have been a real significant part of LALE in all the wonderful work LALE has done, and your work with the Protective League representing and protecting police officers. So I commend you on that, and enjoy those pension checks, because in your particular case, they are well earned. God bless you in the future.
Councilmember Weiss.
Thank you, Madam President. I also want to wish you well, Art. It was nice running into you and your wife this morning, getting a chance to meet your wife. And then I learned these two facts that were completely unexpected to me. One, the total number of years you have under your belt, and two, that this was going away day. And I'm very sorry to hear about that, but it's really impressive to hear about the former fact you've been a role model for so many young officers over the years, and because you're going to continue with LaLaye, there's no doubt that you're going to continue to be a role model and a real positive voice in the entire police community. I wish you the best, and I am really glad that you are not going away. Nice to meet you again. Okay.
I wrote a few things here because I wanted to make sure I said what I truly feel. First of all, I would like to thank Councilman Eric Garcetti for honoring me on my retirement from the Los Angeles Police Department after 39 years of service. I also would like to thank you, the other leaders of this community, dedicated council persons, for honoring me. You honor me by signing this beautiful certificate with these gracious words that were written about my career. I truly believe that the honor was mine to be able to work in this career for this great police department in this great city of Los Angeles. I'm not retiring because I want to, but because of my 5 years in drop have ended. I'm not ready to fade away, as many do. I plan to be involved in issues that concern the Latin American Law Enforcement Association, LaLaye, City of Los Angeles chapter regarding police and community issues as their re-elected president. I stand before this council with my wife, Irene, my hair, and my brothers and sisters, my friends, my co-workers that are in the back, thank you very much. And I say, thank you for this honor and for allowing me to protect and serve this community as a dedicated employee of this great city. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and I don't think any of us believe that you will fade away. We will see and hear from you often, I know, so congratulations as well. Thank you. I'd like to acknowledge Mr. Weiss for a quick introduction. Mr. Weiss?
Thank you, Madam President. We've got in the back here, if the cameras could scan all the way to the back, please, we have 20 third-grade students from Warner Avenue Elementary and their teachers, Ms. Schulman, Ms. Reisner, and some parents. Come on, cameras, can you put the kids on in the back?
Channel 35? We'd like
Channel
to have the
35,
back
are you
of
listening? Want to get these kids on. There we go. All
There
right.
we go.
Welcome, Warner Avenue School. Come on, guys, wave. You're going to be on TV. Come on, kids. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Weiss. I'd now like to acknowledge Ms. Hahn for our next presentation.
Thank you, Madam President, colleagues. Today I'm very pleased to honor a man that really is an institution here in Los Angeles, particularly in South Los Angeles, and that's Mr. George Parks. George has many, many accomplishments. George was very close to my family, very close to my father. In fact, he was appointed by my father to help identify the best place to build the Martin Luther King Jr. Medical Center in Watts. And we know the story of that hospital, how it rose out of the ashes of the Watts riots in '65, and how the struggle that my father championed to build that hospital there. But we need to make sure we remember when we tell that story that George Parks really was instrumental in helping to locate the best place for that hospital. George was born in Kentucky to school teachers, and he went on to law school at Howard University and then practiced law in Washington, D.C. for 10 years. Then he decided to relocate here in Los Angeles. And since coming to Los Angeles, George has been so active in politics and grassroots activities. He was appointed by Mayor Tom Bradley to the Productivity Commission, and he was a founder of the Carthay Neighborhood Association. He taught law and concluded his teaching career as Assistant Dean and Professor of Law at Glendale University School of Law. He was president of the Crenshaw Chamber of Commerce. He served as vice chairman of the Board of Regents of California Lutheran University and was a founder and president of the Lutheran Housing Corporation. George is also one of the founders of the New Frontier Democratic Club and organized one of the first neighborhood watch programs in the Crenshaw community. He serves in the legal division of MTA. George has truly committed his life to serving this community. His imprint, his really impact on so many things that really we take for granted here in Los Angeles need to be recognized not only today, but for the next generation of people growing up to understand what George Parks has meant to the city of Los Angeles. I thought it was fitting and honorable that we do this today and recognize your contributions to Los Angeles. So I would like to present you with this resolution on behalf of the city of Los Angeles, thanking you, George Parks, for all that you've done.
Oh, thank you. That is absolutely gorgeous.
Ms. Hahn, before George speaks, I just wanted to add my congratulations. George, I've known you probably close to 30 years, and I just want to thank you for your leadership. And I think as Janice introduced you, said an institution in the city and in City Hall, and for your commitment and volunteerism. I think that you've been involved in so many different boards and commissions and nonprofits. It's really been, I think, a pleasure for all of us to get to know you and to thank you for Janice for acknowledging today. I wanted to add my congratulations as well, George.
Well, I thank you very much. And as far as members of City Council is concerned, when Supervisor Hahn took office as a supervisor, that land was just vacant land all the way through. And he dedicated his life, his entire term, to building South Los Angeles. The final result was that hospital. And when he located that land, located the area and everything, he brought in his deputies, of which I was one, and started raising the money, state and county, to build that hospital. And as you see that hospital and all of that land there, you can say it was the work of Supervisor Kenneth Hahn and his family. And I thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, George.
Thank you very much.
George. Did you want to say anything for the New Frontier Club?
Okay, yeah, I will. Greetings, Council, and I certainly want to commend Janice Hahn. We've known each other for years and served together. Carolyn Fowler, President of New Frontier Democratic Club. I just want to say, they say George is an institution, but I think what people frequently don't know is how much he mentors and coaches not only New Frontier board members, but everywhere throughout, young people, those of us in the business profession as well. And certainly, I want to thank the council, as I said, Janice and President Eric Garcetti and the rest of the members for recognizing George's contributions here today. And he certainly is a jewel and a treasure that we at New Frontier could not do without. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn. Let's take a quick picture, three of us.
All right.
You get in this too. Take it.
Okay.
Okay, whatever. This one. That's good. Yeah, that's good.
Thank
you. Thank you. Okay, right. Okay, thank you, colleagues, for my next presentation. I'd like to have the championship, Verbum-Dei High School, CIF, Southern Section, Mid-Valley Division champions. Come on, stand up behind me. Come on. Woo! You know, we have, many times we bring championship teams down here to the City Council to honor, and maybe the students wouldn't agree with this, but I was just talking to my colleague Tom LeBonge, maybe when we have students from schools who are taking time out of their school, we might move them up as a priority so that we can get them back to school or work where they need to go. Like I said, they may not agree, but I think that might be something we want to consider. Again, colleagues, I'm so pleased to honor the football team from Verbum-Day High School, CIF Southern Section Mid-Valley Division champions. And give yourselves another hand. Woo! This year, the Eagles had a 9-4 season and took on Pasadena's LaSalle High School Lancers for the championship, winning 32-10, and apparently avenging the heartbreaking one-point loss to the Lancers earlier in the season. And you know, while this was a great year for this football team, and by the way, I was honored to, they host a Martin Luther King breakfast every year during the celebration, and I was at Verbum-Day High School for that, and that's when I learned of their championship, and I said then, and I believe that was in January, that I would want to bring them down here and honor them in front of the whole city of Los Angeles, and that's what we're doing today. But you know what? This is a great opportunity to highlight Verbum-Day. And while football certainly is a big story this year, it's more about what happens off the field for these young men. They're not just good athletes, they're good students, and they are good young men. And the mission of Verbum-Day, for those of you who don't know, it's an all-male prep school in Watts, and its mission is to empower students to become gentlemen who serve with and for others. And to make this a reality, Verbum-Day has established its work-study program, which provides the students with real-world job experience to earn a portion of the cost of their education. And despite having school, homework, practice, these football players also participate in the work-study program. Each member works one full day each week in a law firm, a medical building, an insurance company, or other corporate setting. And I read a comment by school president, Reverend John Welling, who is here today, that really summed up what these young men do. For the student athletes at Verbum-Day High School, all are required to manage a schedule and list of priorities that many adults would have difficulty adjusting to. And that is so true. And if you really want to learn more about this school and about this program, we would love to talk to you about that. And those of you who might be watching today, particularly corporate America, if you want an opportunity to have a fine young man work in your office or your setting for one day a week, we want to hook you up with them. Even the logistics of just transporting these young men to their job sites one day a week with vans and deciding who goes where is incredible. I was following one of your vans on the freeway last week, and I thought, what a great, and it was early in the morning, and I thought, you know, what a great program this has for making fine young men to serve others in the city of Los Angeles. The other thing about which I want to highlight today, there's 5 players that have already signed on to 4-year university football scholarships. Jonathan Calhoun has already signed up to go to UC Davis. Where's Jonathan? Justin Edison is signed up to go to UCLA. Akeem Ayers is scheduled to go to UCLA. Reginald Dunn is signed up to go to Oregon State. And Christian Brown Fraser, and I met your mom when we were coming in today, you're signed up to go to Texas Southern. You all make me very proud. This school is one of the great schools in Watts. It gives me great bragging rights to talk about Verbum-Day when I talk about what's going on in the community of Watts. So I'm very pleased today to present congratulations to Verbum-Day High School upon celebrating your victory and taking the CIF Southern Section football title on December 9th, 2006. And I'm going to present it to to John. I'm going to present this to the president, John Welling, and I want you to say a few words. We also have, I don't think the principal is here. Athletic Director Lorenz Willis, is he here? Coach Knox is here. Okay. So how about you and the coach saying a few words?
All right.
And Ms. Hahn, before they speak, Mr. Labange would like to say a few words. Mr. Labange?
I'm going to hold for the father to speak first. I never
Okay,
speak before.
good Catholic boy. Okay.
Well, on behalf of the entire Verbum Dei family, I want to thank you, Councilwoman Hahn, and the entire City Council for this acknowledgement. As you might know, Verbum Dei High School, as an all-boys school right in the heart of Watts on South Central Avenue, has been working as a beacon of hope in our community since 1962. For the last 3 years, it has become the second Jesuit high school, college preparatory high school in Los Angeles, along with Loyola High School. And I am very proud of these young men for winning the first CIF championship in football for our school in the last 24 years. But as Janice said, much more importantly, and to the heart of our mission in Watts, in an area in which these guys are coming from neighborhoods still struggling, living day to day with severe gang violence and drug problems. These guys and their parents' commitment and sacrifices are choosing to go a different direction and make a difference. They are going to be the hope and the future of our city and our country, and I'm very proud of them. They do juggle a lot, not only athletics and the demanding schedules and workouts and everything their great coaches crack the whip on them to do, but we do have a very, very strong academic program to get them all in college in an area where the graduation rate in high school is very, very low. I can boast, because all of these young student athletes, the entire senior class, will graduate this year, and as far as I know, unless one of these guys really messes up, the seniors in the last few weeks, they will all, except for 2 of our seniors, go on to college. The other 2 are entering the Air Force. That's pretty good. I can't plug our fundraiser because the Mardi Gras already happened. We had a great event a few weeks ago at the California Club. Our generous benefactors and corporate sponsors, especially of our work program, in which these guys take responsibility for their education. Each one earns $6,250 working 5 days a week to help pay their tuition, and those corporate sponsors also help in many, many ways in our school. We earned over $330,000 in scholarships for these guys at that fundraiser. So come around next year if you want to really celebrate Mardi Gras, Watts style. The other thing is, as our school enrollment grows, we also need more jobs. So, right. Councilwoman Hahn, I thank you for the plug for that. Again, thank you all. Coach Knox?
Mr. Labange, oh, sorry, go ahead. Then Mr. Labange, okay.
Thank you again for inviting us here. Thank you, Mrs. Hahn, for inviting us. And these young men take pride in representing the city of Los Angeles. And as you heard earlier, they're not just athletes, they're student athletes. And I also take pride in coaching these young men. I'm an alumnus of Verbum Dei High School. I'm a direct product of the school, and I know what it can do. And we still need support from the city of Los Angeles to turn out better young men year after year. And again, we thank you.
Thank you, Coach.
Ms. Hahn, thank you so much for bringing these champions that are so important for us in the future. I want to congratulate those young men who are getting athletic scholarship especially going to UCLA, because Coach Durrell, when he came here, he said he's going to go back to Los Angeles, because often they had a habit of recruiting outside our region, and there's great young people in our region who could help the Bruins. I know my mentor was Milt Davis, who played for Coach Sanders back in the 50s, and he grew up in Los Angeles and went to Jefferson High School. So I want to congratulate you and the young man going to Texas. I hope you like country music, because that's Texas. But all of you have done a great job in Verbum Day. I'm glad to see the partnership with the oldest high school in Los Angeles, Loyola. I'm proud that some of the Loyola Cubs that are here today, Tom Johnson and the great Johnson family, and my own brother Dennis LaBonge, who help with the program that's just so important, because we have a sister city program where we help other cities. This sister school program is so important. So I'm very proud of you, Janice, for having one of the great schools in Southern California there. And this morning in my walk in Griffith Park, I reflected on Los Angeles and the names of our communities. And I think if you ask all the people of the world to name places, they'd name Los Angeles, they'd name Hollywood. But I'm sure Watts would be right up there as a recognized name, sometimes in a challenging way. But you're going to prove that challenge is right, because of the great creativity you learned at Verbum Day and the contributions you'll make further on that. I know Miss Hahn's deputy is going to escort you to the tower, the Tom Bradley Tower here at this City Hall. It's a little hazy this morning. You can look out over the horizon and see this great vista called Los Angeles. Congratulations to the Eagles, champions. Where's the center? I want to see who's the center here today. Is the center make it, or is he in class? Let's see, what's the name of the center? Andrew, what's your last name? Andrew, Kedru? Kedru, what's your last name? Kedru Thomas. See, you can't start any play in football without the center. Give the center a big hand. Thank you.
We're going to go in the back and take pictures.
Okay. Also, on behalf of Verbum Day High School and the athletic program in the school, we'd like to present Ms. Hahn with a championship Verbum Day Eagle hat.
Thank you very much. Congratulations, Verbum Day. Thank you, Ms. Hahn. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce some special guests we have with us today. One is, and I'll wait, I think, till they get through there so we can see everyone. Thank you very much. I'd like to introduce Colleen Colson, who is the mother of our president of our Board of Public Works, Cynthia Ruiz. Colleen? She's still here? Colleen Colson. Also like to introduce Chad Smith, the principal chief of the Cherokee Nation. Thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate it and wanted to make sure that we acknowledge both of you for being here this morning, and I hope you enjoyed our ability to congratulate and acknowledge people here in City Council today. Thank you very much for being here. Madam Clerk.
Madam President, two items were being held for 12 council members. Items 11 and 31 are ordinances. Neither were called special by any council members. Do you wish to take them up at this time so they can be voted on?
Please.
And that's items 11 and 31.
11 and 31. Madam Clerk, open the roll on those items. Close the roll. Tabulate the votes.
12 ayes.
12 ayes. Next item.
Madam President, there are also two commissioners. Do you wish to take up those
Yes,
items?
we'll take the
Okay.
commissioners, I think, then public comment after that.
First item is item number 1, and that's confirmation of Ms. Cindy Montañez to the City Planning Commission.
Yes, Ms. Montañez, if you could come to the center table. We do have cards, yes. We will ask those people public comment cards as soon as we have finished having some questions by the council members. Welcome. I know that Mr. Reyes would be standing up right now and saying thank you for your willingness to serve on the Planning Commission and your expertise and experience both in working in a legislative office and being a legislator. Being from the San Fernando Valley is an excellent opportunity for us to have you on our Planning Commission, and we welcome your willingness to do that. It is a big challenge. I'd like to acknowledge a couple of my colleagues, Mr. Rosendahl, followed by Mr. Smith.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We're delighted that you're stepping up to an opportunity to serve the whole city. We think it's great. Tell us what your vision is of your role on that Planning Commission.
Okay. Well, thank you for the question, Mr. Councilmember and Madam President. It really is an honor to be, have the opportunity to be nominated by the mayor to serve on the Planning Commission, something that gives me the ability to come back to local government, which I believe in local government. That's where you impact people's lives directly in a very, very impactful way. And when it comes to the Planning Commission, Citywide Planning Commission, here's an opportunity for us to really continue to take Los Angeles, the international, great, amazing city that Los Angeles is, in a direction where we respect neighborhoods, because every neighborhood, as we all know, when we talk about different council districts, every neighborhood has its very unique characteristics. But at the same time, we want to be able to bring those neighborhoods together to create what is a great city of Los Angeles. And with the Planning Commission, I do believe that I'm working with, we'll be working with some of the, some of the strongest staff that is in the building to be able to work on whether it's general plan issues, housing issues, a lot of the local development issues, is really be able to once again is work with the different stakeholders to come to decisions that ultimately, are in the best interest of that neighborhood, where people want to continue to stay in Los Angeles, where businesses want to continue to, to invest in Los Angeles, where people want to build in Los Angeles, and take us, into a direction where, we follow that vision that not only the mayor has put together, but I do believe also that each and every single one of you as council members bring to your respective roles as leaders in the city.
Gail Goldberg is a visionary,
Yeah.
and Gloria Jeff in transportation is a visionary. In the past, transportation was here, planning was here. The two have to be joined at the hip, because you can't do planning without transportation mitigation. How do you see yourself in that role? If we're going to put a development on a certain area, how are we going to do the transportation and the coordination, cooperation, and collaboration of those two departments?
Yeah, excellent questions, Mr. Councilmember. Absolutely, that's the way that I see it, is that when you talk about planning, planning goes beyond just looking at certain ordinances that exist within our city laws. Planning really incorporates looking at transportation issues, looking at housing, looking at open space, being able to evaluate what other community needs exist or don't exist, and what other government structures are in the neighborhood, that we really have to be able to look at it as at a neighborhood in its entirety. And especially in transportation issues, when we're here in the city of Los Angeles, that always has to be taken into consideration as we move forward with projects in the city.
I mean, my district is in total gridlock,
Yeah.
north and south, east and west. The planning department, the transportation department, and 3 other cities, governmental bodies in my district, never work together. We have a city of Santa Monica, an aggressive job growth strategy. We have Culver City doing it the same thing, and we have LA County. But we're all physically in the same piece of land. How do you see the cooperation between the various governments,
Yeah.
which is as critical as these two departments?
Absolutely. The cooperation needs to exist within all different departments within the city, but also be able to extend outside, that when we plan regionally, that we look at not only what is going on within the city of Los Angeles, but also what's going on within the county, and how can we now be able to be very aggressive.
Hold my time, please.
Be very aggressive about getting state cooperation on the projects that we have locally, because sometimes too we see that there are certain state policies that come down that may not always be that may not always work for what we're trying to do at the local level. And that involves strong cooperation. When you talk about a district like yours, we look at the west side of our great city, and that's exactly where where we have some of the biggest transportation issues. Well, that's going to involve federal support, state support, city support, county support, and the neighborhoods, where we literally talk to individuals to address, planning issues, transportation issues, to be able to address some of those gridlock issues.
One of my big issues is 50% of my constituents are renters. They are threatened by the condo conversion strategy. They might not be able to afford to buy the condo, so they leave their apartment. They'll never find another rental in my district. It's location, location, location. It's near the ocean. What's your sensing of the condo conversion and tenants' rights?
Okay, when we talk about major issues that impact the state of California and that impact the city of Los Angeles in this region, it is without a doubt housing that comes to people's minds, because for most individuals, the most important investment that they make in their life often is that home that they buy. And sometimes people can't make that decision to buy a home because they can't afford to get into a market. So again, it's about coming together with comprehensive strategies as to what it is that we could make it, more affordable to build in Los Angeles, and at the same time make it affordable to be able to rent and to own a home. And that's going to involve a lot of, comprehensive, creative strategies to ultimately be able to make affordability of housing something that it's a dream that everybody can acquire.
Master plans, specific plans, and character and scale are three things I'm going through every day. I'd like your opinion if by right a developer can do something, but the character and scale of the community suggests otherwise, be it the mansionization business that we see happening, the obstruction of views that we see happening, and character of neighborhood changing because by right they can do it under some plan that was there before. How do we deal with that?
Well, the ideal is what we've been talking about, which is cooperation is, really the ideal situation that we want to be able to have, in order to have government efficiency and also have developers be able to, build their projects in a time that still makes economic sense for them too. And, that, I know a lot of times it's an issue of, this is what by right, this is what I can do. Well, that involves, I think, just a lot of discussions and conversations to make sure that that development could be much more respectful to the neighborhood. Because as I said before, when we plan, I do believe that one of those priorities should be respecting the character of that neighborhood and building something that actually enhances the overall quality of life and property values versus something that would actually be detrimental to that neighborhood.
That's music to my ears because community must be considered, but sometimes by right denies their ability to revisit an issue, and you have situations that I'm conflicted with throughout my district. Thank you for stepping forward. We look forward to your leadership. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Councilmember.
Thank you. Mr. Smith.
Thank you. And Assemblywoman and now citizen Cindy Montanez, for Mr. Rosenthal's knowledge, when you were a member of the council and mayor of San Fernando, we have always had a great working relationship with the city of San Fernando. Now that you're living in the city of LA, we're very pleased to have you here before us today. You've explored very well the issue of transportation, the connections there. I want to explore the tension that you're going to have on a regular basis as you sit on the commission, and that is the tension between the desire to maintain communities and then the requirements placed on us by the state of California in the RENA Act, which requires us to put in housing. And so that tension exists that we must create housing under the law, and yet we want to maintain the nature of our character of our communities. How do you view that tension, and how can we sit there and tell people that come before you that we appreciate what you want to do, but we must create some housing, and we want to find the best way to do it? How do you view that role in your role on the commission?
Yeah, thank you for the question, Mr. Councilmember. The issue of housing and where we, actually build housing and whether neighborhoods want to have the affordable housing and what affordable housing actually means to that neighborhood and how much more development and urban sprawl and, neighborhoods, as your districts in the North Valley that may feel that in the last 10 years, maybe there was a lot of housing that went up very quickly, and did we adjust, in transportation issues and open space and community parks and all the other government amenities, that I do believe that there are areas that without a doubt there's opportunities to build housing. We look at areas like downtown Los Angeles. All we have to do is just look out the window and we will see where we could build hundreds of new housing stock to address that issue of, the undersupply or the lack of supply of enough housing units in the city of Los Angeles. That, that I think that there are areas in the city where we can focus on, other neighborhoods that should be respected if there are more communities that have had larger lots, equestrian communities, open space, that we also respect that and be, once again, be able to work with the community so that we get buy-in into a project, and so that projects are actually seen as something that's positive and appreciated by that neighborhood, and that people would want to buy their home in that particular project.
That's great. Thank you very much. And I just want to say, for those that haven't had the pleasure of working with Cindy Montanez, when she was in the State Assembly, she represented about half of my district, and we had a very strong relationship. But whenever I went to Sacramento in my role as IGR chair, Cindy Montanez was a very, very, very good advocate for Los Angeles and the state legislature, and a very good friend of LA. And I know she understands the problems of the valley very well, and would be a great, great commissioner. So I congratulate the mayor on your selection, and look forward to working with you in your new role. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Mr. Cardenas.
Good morning, or I was almost saying afternoon, Ms. Montañez. I just wanted to clarify for the people of Los Angeles who might not be familiar with some of your credentials that you bring, which are many, and I appreciate your volunteerism and willingness to give to the city of Los Angeles in this capacity. But have you ever been in a position of authority where you were making citywide planning decisions?
In my role as a member of the legislature, and prior as a former member of the city council and mayor of a smaller city, that's what we did. I mean, as a member of the legislature, as you know, being the former assembly member in my former assembly district, the decisions we make, even as members of the legislature, oftentimes we are called in to work with our local city council members as members of the legislature. Why? Because we are elected officials also. And oftentimes, people in the city don't necessarily distinguish between what are the roles of an assembly member and what are the roles of a city council member. They see us as elected officials, and therefore we have to respond both to local issues, city issues, national issues, federal issues, as you find yourself also as a council member having to confront on a daily basis. I've absolutely loved it. I think that the more that we are able to, I'm able to get involved in the bigger citywide issues, I think the more I'm going to be able to contribute to the city of Los Angeles. As a member of the legislature, I think one of the biggest things that we worked on was, of course, the transportation bond, which impacted the city of Los Angeles in a very significant way. We have to continue to push that the resources come back to Los Angeles, that a bond was passed by the voters. A lot of those votes came from the city of Los Angeles, and I do believe that it's only fair for those transportation dollars to be allocated back to the city of Los Angeles. So yes, I believe that I have in many ways participated in decisions that impact the greater city of Los Angeles and continue. And I'm looking forward to being able to do that more on specific projects now in the Planning Commission.
Thank you. Before you ask another question, if we could have everyone in the room, if you have conversations, please to go outside the chambers. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, are you familiar with the fact that the legislature can impact our local authority with legislation?
Absolutely, and I know...
So my next question is, would you be a voice for the city if you saw something coming down through the legislative process that us as a local city such as Los Angeles may agree or disagree with, and encouraging us to say that's a good piece of legislation, or saying, whoa, wait a minute, that doesn't work at the local level?
Yeah,
Would you
I
be
would
willing to
say
help us
that,
with that?
Yourself, Mr. Councilmember, as my former speaker, Mr. Wesson, and some of the people that come from Sacramento back to local government, that it probably gives us a little bit of a different perspective when we come back to local government, that we realize even now more how important it is to have that strong relationship, both with our senators and assembly members, with the governor, the Speaker of the Assembly, the President Pro Tem of the Senate, because oftentimes I think when we are in Sacramento, we're not here on a daily basis. We're not listening to the people that are coming into City Hall or calling us on the phones or living in our neighborhoods in the way that we're able to do it when we work for the city of Los Angeles. And I do believe that I come with that new, that perspective, how critical and how important it is for us to be able to have very, very strong relationships with Sacramento, the legislature, and the governor's office, so that Los Angeles gets its fair share.
Thank you very much. Look forward to your service.
Thank you, Mr. Curtis.
Thank you. Mr. Wesson.
Thank you, Madam President and members, and good morning, colleague. I rise today not to ask one question, but to help the other members of the council recognize just how fortunate we are to have someone that has been elected to local government, an individual that I had an opportunity to serve with for 2 years in the California State Assembly, the former chairperson of the Rules Committee, an individual that can pick up the phone and call Sacramento and talk to people in both houses, in the Assembly and in the Senate. This is, for lack of a better word, a steal for the city of Los Angeles. So I rise to say, I would hope there would be no more questions, that this should be done unanimously, and let's get Cindy in place, and I guarantee you, you will be impressed with the work that she will do for the great city of Los Angeles. So I'm an aye vote and excited, and I like your hair.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for your kind words. I do have to say, council members and Madam President, that, my work with the, with former Speaker Wesson was one where, we learned very much how we had to work together in a very collaborative way across the aisle. It's a good thing that in local government you don't have, the partisan issues and partisan gridlock that oftentimes you get in the legislature, but that here's an opportunity for us to really be able to work collaboratively and get things done. And I do believe that we had a track record of getting things done when we worked together. Now we have the opportunity to work together here and at the local level with the city of Los Angeles, and I very much look forward to that.
Mr. Garcetti. Mr. Garcetti, followed by Mr. Labange, and followed by Mr. Zine.
Thank you very much, Madam President, and it is really, really great to be able to welcome Cindy Montañez to the city family officially. For a long time, been a part of it, but it's going to be an extraordinary ability, I think, for you to bring to an incredibly progressive city planning commission the politics and the passion and the record that you bring, as well as the knowledge. It's an embarrassment of riches in some ways that we get somebody of your caliber to be able to be part of city planning commission that also includes other elected officials like Mike Wu, who came up as a planner, people like Jane Usher, who's leading the commission and taking on some of the toughest issues. Just a couple that I wanted to hear you talk a little bit about, because I know you've been passionate about affordable housing, is what are some of the things that we can be doing as a city to bring, all sides together around affordable housing? I think the business community, housing advocates have all recognized the importance of being able to build more affordable housing. But what can we do in terms of our city planning to make sure that all parts of the city are doing their fair share of building housing too, not just a few areas where we traditionally have?
Yeah, so the, overall challenge that we face, again, as a state, and that we especially face here in Los Angeles, the issue of affordable housing is, as you know, Mr. President, a very complex issue, because there are a lot of, there are many things that impact, the affordability of housing. The problem, obviously, in Los Angeles has been an issue of, there's excess demand for, shortage of housing units that are actually available. Housing units that are often available are older houses, since Los Angeles, has an older housing stock. We've had, now there's an opportunity for urban infill. There is an opportunity for housing near transportation, like transit-oriented developments, where when you include higher density of homes. There's an opportunity now, I think, as we see, where we see the direction of the housing market go, that you're going to have neighborhoods and people in Los Angeles saying, we need to be able to buy our home. We want some type of affordable housing. Affordable housing, it does not have to be, sometimes the concepts that individuals have, that affordable housing are big, old projects that were, often built, throughout the nation. But affordable housing can be beautiful neighborhoods, single-family homes, multifamily, units, condos, you name it. There's a diversity of what types of housing can actually be built. A younger group may want to see the lofts developed in Los Angeles, where a community that is older in age may want to see beautiful senior housing being done throughout the city. So what do? We have to continue to encourage the development of affordable housing. Oftentimes, where can we influence that? Without a doubt, it's going to be through our planning department, and it will continue to be through our planning department. We have wonderful leadership, as you, I think everybody acknowledges, great leadership that comes from the planning department, from the top, whether it's the mayor, yourself as a council president, each member of the council, that is really giving direction to individuals that work here with the city of Los Angeles, that we continue to, abide by state law, have, local incentives, and be able to, make it something that makes sense for developers that are trying to build affordable units, and again, something that the community can embrace.
Great. Well, thank you for that. And one thing I would just say, be aggressive as a commissioner. We want to help the planning department get the resources that they need. And in past years, things slow up after we approve them because we just don't have enough planners. We've finally been hiring some, but our fees can help pay for those planners. We need to get enough people in place to be able to make sure after we have consensus that something should move forward, that it then doesn't get bogged down in red tape. So be aggressive about that. We'll be here as your partner. And lastly, you've been a great environmentalist, somebody who really has a strong record at greening, areas of the city too that are often overlooked by the traditional environmental community. What can we do in terms of planning greener buildings and making sure that we do more? Now we have expedited plan check if you go LEED certified, but what other things can we do to use planning to make this a greener city?
Yes, there are many opportunities within the city of Los Angeles to take us in that direction because I don't think we've done that yet. There have been certain projects that we can point to, but we really can't point to a whole vision or a whole policy for the whole city of Los Angeles as to how we create those incentives to move in that direction of having green buildings. I have been very passionate about issues of the environment because I think it makes sense long-term economically for our city, as it makes sense long-term for just the economic and well-being, the healthy, having healthy neighborhoods. That, in the past, as a member of the legislature, whenever there was any kind of legislation that we could pass that involved green building standards, that involved giving, the incentive to local cities for them to be able to create their ordinances, that it becomes part of our overall general plan. That's the direction we have to move in because it becomes an issue of just overall quality of life, an issue of protecting the environment, but also an issue of environmental justice in neighborhoods, especially the poor neighborhoods in our great city.
Great. Well, thank you, and you have, of course, my strongest support. I'm so excited to have you be working closer here and continue your career, which I know will have a long time here in City Hall, and something which I will look forward to welcome you in many manifestations in the future. But congratulations on this nomination. I'm really pleased the mayor did it, and you have my full support.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Mr. LaBonge.
Welcome, and good to see you. Thank you for your service to the state. Thank you now your service for the city. Things I just wanted to mention. You know about the senior lead program with the police department? I want a senior lead program for the planning department. Citizens don't know who to talk to in the planning department, and there should be someone that they know in their community that has the ideas, the knowledge, and the concepts to empower the neighborhoods about what local zoning is. So I've talked to your director about it. I've talked to others. I just wanted to mention that. And also, mansionization is a big issue because all of a sudden, everything is built out and we lose the character of the neighborhoods. For us to be successful, and I know, Mr. Garcetti, you may be disappointed in my statement here, but I believe you have to preserve the neighborhoods first, and the density has to be built where the transit is now, whether it's the $4 billion subway system from North Hollywood, and I'm proud of the redevelopment that we've done in North Hollywood, near the transit center, along that corridor, or as you look at the others, because we'll get great pushback when we try to just say, well, you need an apartment there, when the neighborhood really wants to just be, quote, the neighborhood. So that's my little philosophy. I wanted to share it with you. Most important, though, is that there's contacts, like in the police department, which you're familiar with when you work in the state, a senior lead planner who's people-friendly, who gives information on how the process of planning works. Congratulations, good luck. And if I could ever help you, my deputy, Chief of Staff, Renee Weitzer, is also my planning officer, and all of us have planning deputies, and working closely with your commission will help us do a better job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you, Mr. Councilmember.
Thank you. Mr. Zine.
City Council, State Assembly, Planning Commission, you've done the whole circle. All that experience, all that knowledge. I know that when you were on the State Assembly representing the San Fernando Valley, many programs, you were always there for the community, visiting the people. When you weren't up for election, you were there. When you were up for election, you were there. Very committed to the community. I'm sure you'll do the same on the Planning Commission. I just want to congratulate you. I know it'll be unanimous. Some of your former colleagues here as council members, and I know that the experience that you bring is utmost experience in all those areas. You're familiar with the Valley, familiar with all the ins and outs of the Valley, all the problems, the challenges. So it's going to be exciting, and welcome back. You're only gone for a short time, but you're back. So congratulations to you.
Thank you, Mr. Councilmember. And I just do want to just make the point that I do believe that, that as many of you here, that the face to city government should always be, a face that's friendly and open, that community members feel comfortable being able to ask questions. And once again, a lot of times there isn't that distinction as to whether you're a commissioner, are you a city council member, are you an assembly member, are you a senator. We are all here to represent the public and be as thorough and thoughtful as we can to making sure that the public has the right access to government.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Ms. Gruhl.
Thank you, Mr. President. Switch seats here. So I just wanted to, I know been mentioned by my colleague, Mr. Rosendahl, the intersection, as we say, between planning and transportation, and looking at some of the cumulative effects. We oftentimes look at a project, 20 new apartment units or 20 condos, and then you have, and then the planning department says okay, and transportation says okay. Then another application comes in the following week, and you start to see a number of these, which has a cumulative impact on traffic and some of the issues in that neighborhood. And so we've introduced a motion to have a discussion about that, but I think it's very important when we're making planning decisions to look at its impact specifically on traffic. And the place where that happens oftentimes is in the Planning Commission. And the reason for having that citywide is to look at not only big projects, but look at projects that may have implications to the rest of the city of Los Angeles. And so we hope as you're going through that, when you talk to people in our districts, and I'm sure you experienced this as well as an assemblywoman, mostly they're opposed to projects based on the density because of the traffic related to that. It's all about how it will impact their quality of life. And we really have to look as we are decision makers, and those of you that are on the commission the same way, how it is going to impact that quality of life to address having more affordable housing in areas where people can walk to work, be close to their work. We know in the San Fernando Valley and the West Side, the traffic patterns that have been established now are so different than just a few years ago because the jobs housing balance is off balance in our communities. But most importantly, and I know Jane Blumenfeld has been working on this too, is an education effort within, and Mr. Labange alluded to it with the senior lead concept. A lot of people don't understand what rights, property rights versus city rights, what we can do, what we can't do, where we should make the changes, how they can work together to be a positive force in controlling development in their areas or quality of life. And so I hope as you go on the Planning Commission with your experience as an elected official to see how we can go out into those communities in a very different way than we've ever done before, to have, we call it Planning 101 with our neighbored councils and others. So I hope as you go forward that will be one issue that you can help with in your organizing capability and how we can get the message out. The second issue, which Mr. Labange mentioned, is mansionization. I think between his district and mine, we have probably the most active group in looking at how we, I call it updating what we allow in those communities because we already control height and we control setback. But what we're looking at is modernizing that to the 21st century here and to improve that quality. And the commission is going to be reviewing this summer, as I understand the timing of it. They've been having public meetings, one this last week in my district, or excuse me, in Tony's district, but it covered all of us at the Browdy Center. A lot of my community was there, so I was calling it my district because they were there till the late hours. But how we fashion something that finds that balance. So again, I want to say congratulations, but those are a few challenges I'd like you to look at as a new planning commissioner.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Councilmember. The one thing that I do want to say to yourself and all the members of the council is that most of you know me, you know my work style, and that when there are issues that I could be helpful, particular issues that are impacting, especially one district over the other, that we can have much more detailed conversations as to what I can do to be helpful, for overall city planning issues. The issue of transportation, you've of course, as chair of the transportation, I think have really, brought a lot of attention to how critical of an issue that is for quality of life in the city of Los Angeles. And I do agree with what Councilmember Labange was saying that we have unique opportunities in certain areas that already exist, whether it's downtown Los Angeles, whether it's along certain corridors, the Orange Line in the San Fernando Valley. There's certain transportation hubs that currently exist that I think the communities would be very supportive of having increased density. And you're absolutely right that when we look at local planning issues, that most of the time when community members come in to complain, at the top of their list is the issue of traffic congestion and how many more cars are going to ruin my neighborhood or maybe get in the way of my child being able to walk to school. Those are very legitimate, very real issues that have to be addressed in the larger direction that we take within planning, in the city, because I believe that those are very real issues that need to be addressed whenever we do any kind of development project anywhere in the city.
Great. Thank you very much, Cindy. Congratulations. Thank you, Mr. President.
And our last speaker is Mr. Weezar.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to say congratulations one more time. I had the opportunity to hear your thoughts in Plum and just echo what everybody else said. I think you bring a wealth of experience, not only what you've seen and heard and done at the state level, but even now as we work on local issues, there's always times when either the state supersedes or overrides some of the things we're doing here locally, and it's great to have someone like you on the commission who will know how to relate to that and speak to those issues. So congratulations and thank you so much, and I look forward to working with you. I'll speak to you more specifically about those issues in my district at a future date, but there's so much happening there, whether it's slow growth in the northeast part of my district or supporting what's happening here in downtown. Some areas very excited about future development and growth. Other areas we want to keep open space, green space. So I look forward to talking to you about those issues in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Councilmember.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's our final speaker on the queue. So, Madam Clerk, let's open the roll on the nomination, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you.
If there's no objection, colleagues, item 29, we will continue until next Friday. Seeing none, that will be continued. If we can take up the next commissioner, please.
Next item, Mr. President, is item number 30, and that's confirmation of Ms. Marissa Castro-Salvati to the Board of Civil Service Commissioners.
All right. If we can ask our nominee to come forward this time. And Mr. Zine will recognize you as Chair of the Personnel Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is your third visit to City Hall?
Yes, it is, this week.
This week, third visit. And you're with your husband, who thought he'd be here for a short period of time. So now it's going on 2 hours, but it's okay. He'll take you to a nice lunch after this. A little bit of experience that you can share with my colleagues and the viewers. You're being appointed to the Civil Service Commission, which is responsible for the testing standards, the disciplinary process, et cetera. Can you go into a little bit of the background that you have into that
Sure.
particular arena, since you've never been a commissioner before, but you see how government moves at this
Absolutely.
pace?
Well, as our wonderful councilman here had explained, my name is Marissa Castro-Salvati. Normal days, I work for Southern California Edison. I'm a public affairs region manager. But as far as my experience with the city government, I've had 15 years of experience with city government. I used to work for actually city council for both Joy Picus and for Gilbert Lindsay back in the 80s. And I actually had worked for the Speaker of the Assembly, Willie Brown, at that time, and I worked in the Assembly for about 11 years, and then moved on to Southern California Edison and have been with the company for about 10 years. I have seen a lot of different issues that are being dealt with that really is appropriate for being commissioner for civil service. I actually wanted to really be on this commission, given that I wanted to make sure that I can serve the commission accordingly, and as well as apply some of the skills that I have experienced throughout the years that I have worked in city government, as well as working in the management areas that we have here in our corporate America. And I think it's a nice balance for it. And it's actually an opportunity for me, because I've always wanted to be in a commission, and it was an opportune time for me to accept the commission that the mayor had asked me to be nominated on. And this was something that I can passionately work. I put a lot of passion when I do certain things, and I think I can put my passion as well in making sure that I serve this commission accordingly. I am fair, I am just in making sure that all the decisions that we make that relate to the city employees of the city of Los Angeles is done accordingly.
And you're a TV star, too?
Oh, He keeps reminding me that. It's only for a short time. In fact, I reminded Bill Rosendahl, I did a few of his shows when he was doing the show for the cable system, but I'm also part of KSEI team when they used to have the Filipino channel. I am bilingual. I speak Tagalog fluently, so I'm able to do a lot of the different shows in KSEI, and that's what the councilman was referring to.
Well, I know we interviewed you in committee, interviewed you prior to committee to make
Yes.
sure that you had those qualifications and understood all the demands and all the different commissions we have. When it comes to the Civil Service Commission, all of the testing, the promotional process, the disciplinary, you're dealing with people's careers, you're dealing with their lives, the family that's involved with the individual. So it's a very, very important commission, and with a 40+ thousand city employees, the Civil Service Commission is critical to make sure that we deliver that service to the public in a proper fashion, and we've got the people in those jobs delivering that service to the best that we can for the taxpayers of the city of Los Angeles. And that's the commission that is challenging, it's exciting, sometimes frustrating, but I'm sure you'll do well in that. So
thank you.
I know from the times that we've met, you've got great experience. You know how to deal with people. You wouldn't be in the position you are now if you didn't know how to deal with people with Edison. So I congratulate
I think as long
you.
as you know how to deal with public officials
There you go.
and also people, and working for a big company, I think that makes it a lot of difference.
And pull it all together. And your husband works for Bank of America, so I'll give a plug to
See,
Bank
he
of
told
America.
me not to recognize him, but you did it for me.
I want to recognize him. He's been very patient sitting here and waiting and saying, when are we going to get out of this place? Well, hopefully the vote will come unanimous, and then you can take your lovely wife to lunch and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you,
I'll
Mr.
probably say I
President.
have to take him to lunch.
Who's taking who?
I'll take him to lunch since he's subjected to sitting here for a long time.
Okay, thank you. Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Zine. Ms. Hahn is next, and then Mr. Rosendahl, and then Ms. Gruhl.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, I just wanted to rise and show my great support for Marissa being appointed to this commission. As you said, Dennis, this is a very important commission, and a lot of people's really lives sort of depend on some of these decisions. And I just wanted to stand up and say that I have known Marissa for a while. Marissa and I both came in kind of what we like to call the freshman class of Southern California Edison in 1996. It was right when deregulation was being implemented, and it was a whole new way to look at utilities. And I will say that I was always been very impressed with Marissa's skills in public affairs. And just because Edison was an investor-owned utility as opposed to a publicly owned utility like DWP, still I was always impressed with Marissa's sense of the ratepayer. And that it was a very, it was a very honorable profession to try to make sure that the ratepayer really was treated like a constituent. And it was almost like we were feeling like we were in public service at that time, meeting with people, particularly when it was a very precarious times of rolling blackouts. And it was a very difficult job to be in public affairs during those times. So I watched Marissa deal with elected officials, with city managers, and again, with the basic ratepayer who was at the other end of whether or not their electricity would be on. So I stand in great support of Marissa. I think you'll make a fine commissioner, and I applaud the mayor for choosing you to sit on this commission.
Thank you.
Thank you. Was it the mayor?
Mr. Rosendahl will be after Ms. Gruhl.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And I was listening to you give your history, and
I know, I forgot something, Wendy.
But I forgot how long it had been that you had been part of the city family, but I think it makes you particularly useful, a beneficial commissioner on the Civil Service Commission, because you had those experiences, and both in the public and the private sector, which I think is a good balance that I know Janice has had both sides as well, and I was lucky enough to do that. It gives you a good perspective as we're trying to deal with civil service issues in the city. So I just, count you as a friend first and foremost, but wanted to say congratulations, and glad that I am sure you will get a unanimous vote today to be on the Civil Service Commission. And as I say to all commissioners, this is not the first or last time we want to hear from you. We want you to come tell us, are there public policy changes we need to make that are going to improve the civil service system? You deal with it on, we'll be dealing with it on a much more, I think, intimate way than we do even here in the City Council, and so we value you coming back to us and saying, here are some things you could do differently. So thank you very much and congratulations.
Thank you, Ms. Gruhl. Mr. Rosendahl is our next speaker, and then Mr. Labange.
Thank you, Mr. President. For full disclosure here, Gary Salvanti, your husband, and I have a relationship with Bank of America, and that's purely on a person, has nothing to do with this job that I'm now in. But in fact, it preceded even this moment here. But you and I go back 12 years to 1995 when you came on the show. We talked about issues in Asia at that point. Again, for all of us, tell us why you want this position, what you think you'll do with this position, and the strength that you bring to it.
As I mentioned earlier, Councilman, my passion, I think, alone makes a big difference to be serving as a commissioner for a civil service. I think whenever I put my thoughts and my passion within anything that I do, I make sure that I am serving whatever I do diligently and efficiently, and making sure that whatever decisions I make in that commission is just and fair to whoever is being presented. I know we have to adjudicate on different cases, different testing, different employee relations type of issues, and I think with my being there, I can make sure that my decisions are fair and that they are being considered accordingly. When you are a commissioner in civil service, you have to always make sure, and I believe that you have to make sure that you have to put blinders on. You have to listen to the facts and nothing else. And that's the important thing in being a commissioner, because the facts are important, and that's how you have to make your decision.
And in those facts, sometimes the notion civil service means that you're protected, you can't be discriminated against, and you tend to get tenure. But another issue for many of us is accountability, productivity, and performance. How do you see dealing with those kinds of issues?
Well, in situations like that, I think a lot of people, I think, when they come before us, emotions may be played on, and I think that's probably one of the main issues. I think, as you said, you have to maintain yourself with strength and dignity and make sure that you are not swayed by those emotions, because you are there to make a just and fair decision to that individual, because you're talking about their lives. But you're, at the same time, you're talking about serving the city. My first and foremost responsibility is to serve the city. I have been appointed by the city and by the mayor of Los Angeles to make sure that I serve the city and the city council as well as the mayor accordingly.
And it's wonderful to have you, because one of the challenges is when a person is a civil servant, to make sure that that civil service attitude exhibits itself in productivity. There's some energy sometimes in attitude that us electeds, we come and go, but us civil servants stay forever within the context of that and retire out of here and so on and so forth. But accountability and productivity are two big issues that also have to be focused on. Civil service was to protect it from the political corruption strategy, but not to guarantee a job for a person who isn't performing.
Absolutely, and I'm looking forward to that. So
thank you, and welcome for stepping up to the plate. Appreciate it. And your husband Gary over there too.
He's getting more play than I am.
No. It's all about you, don't worry. Mr. Labange is our next speaker.
Thank you for your great service to this commission. I know you're going to do a great job. You've always done a great job. Congratulations to you and your husband, but special congratulations to you, and thank you for your company for allowing you the extra time to be committed to this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's our last speaker. So with that, let's go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Congratulations, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you very much.
Next item, please.
Ms.
I'm sorry. And all items, if there's no objection, we'll send forthwith today. Please continue.
Mr. President, do you wish to take a public comment at this time?
Yes, please. Now to go to general public comment. Thank everybody for their patience. I'd like to ask Nora Sanchez to come forward as our first speaker. Yep.
Comment, but if they need additional time, they're allowed it. It's because of the agenda, et cetera, and the community commitments that some of us may have. I happen to have one, but
okay, we'll ask folks if they can keep it, but we'll keep it consistent in the meantime. We'll keep it up to 2, but if folks can, we have a number of cards, and I know there's some folks that are here for the items before us. So Nora Sanchez, welcome.
Good morning. I'm a resident of Echo Park and active in my community. And because this is a place where I can express all my concerns on what is happening in my community, that's why I came here today. And I would like to address some issues that are bothering in my mind. Like we need more, in our community, we need more places where the youth people can spend their time in an orderly way, and we need to ensure that kids at the school are safe, and that administrators in our schools are serving the purposes that they're supposed to. Like in my school, I can only talk about my local school, which is elementary school. I'm president of 2 committees, different parents committee at that school. Last week, Principal Diane Ramirez called the police and a group of parents, which I was included in that. And I've been calling, making some phone calls just to know who can help me. And it happened to be that I called to the mayor's office, and they told me that they can help me. But all I know is that we need to be heard. I feel that sometimes, most of the time, I feel frustrated that we have too many problems in our communities, but sometimes there's people who don't even dare to come out from the shelves because they feel that they're afraid from some stuff that happens in our communities. And what I like to know is who can help me. If you know, please, someone who can help me, you can approach to me and just hand me some phone numbers, because we really need some places for our people, our youth, to spend their time and not to be bothered by the police. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Arnold Sachs. After that is Luisa Padilla-Mavropoulos.
Good morning, council members. Thank you very much. For those of you who could not attend yesterday's MTA board meeting, I'm here on behalf of a segment of the public that needs your help. Mayor Villaraigosa has asked that an audit of Access Services Incorporated be held, and I'm looking for your support to get behind the mayor on this. Addition to the MTA's agenda, these people that need the access services are your elderly, your disabled, veterans, people that from all stratas of your constituency. And in addition to this audit that would help to provide service for the people that suffer through disabilities, you can also help them by closing a loophole in the Access Services Act that allows access providers to receive bids to provide access service to patients by the number of vehicles that they provide, but when they receive these bids, they don't have a corresponding number of access certified drivers. This in turn causes people who need the access service to actually enter into a pool of limited accessibility, because the firms that are supposed to provide the independent service are not living up to the requirements that they provide the independent service. By having the independent access companies have corresponding drivers for their access vehicles,
Thank you, Mr. Sachs.
you will be able to help the disabled, the people that need these services, and the people that can't afford otherwise. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Luisa Padilla-Mavropoulos, and then Sharon Brewer out in Van Nuys will be our next speaker after that. Welcome.
Welcome. Good afternoon, everyone. Dear President Garcetti and all City Council, my name is Luisa Padilla-Mavropoulos. In 1993, I started the first grassroots children's-based community group in Echo Park called the Echo Park Youth Empowerment Council. We are event planners. I work hands-on with community kids. I teach them how to do arts and crafts. This summer, our community children face a long, challenging summer of no recreation center or swimming pool. They are both under construction. I'm a person with hidden disabilities. And you know what? I think that I move faster than the construction workers on site. It's ridiculous what I've seen. I'm here to request better oversight on the construction site. Our swimming pool has been closed for 2 days. I'm here to request that local schools covered under LAUSD, Elysian Heights, Logan Street School, and Clifford Elementary School have their playgrounds open for summer recreation for our community children. The city shows concern about gang violence increase, yet, as a city, we are not offering, at least in my Echo Park neighborhood, an alternative for our kids. They are at an age where they can go either way. They can either go towards the gangs, or if they have something better coming from the city, they can go that way also. But at this point, during this summer, they're going to have nothing better to do but to get in trouble. Now, I hear the city, they want to do things, they want to take care of the kids, and what I'm here to tell you is I want you to put your money where your mouth is. Do something for the kids in Echo Park, because our kids are going to get messed up here. I've been watching CNN, and they're talking about the warlords also coming back into power. I still remember the 1980 cocaine wars, where cocaine flooded our streets. Right now, heroin is starting to come in, and in Echo Park, you can buy a balloon for $7. They're expecting that during the summer, that is going to lower. Please, we need your help here. Our children need your help. Thank you.
Appreciate your words. Sharon Brewer is our next speaker out in Van Nuys.
Hi, my name is Sharon Brewer. April 1st, 2007, Persian New Year event, Lake Balboa. Yesterday, Thursday, March 22nd, I was emailed by Recreation and Parks the permit for this event was available. The permit was signed on March 15th, last Thursday, a week ago. This morning, March 23rd, I emailed Recreation and Parks some questions regarding the permit and received back out of office / jury duty, out of office Friday, March 23rd through Friday, March 30th. Event is Sunday, March 1st. My email asked, is the area at Lake Balboa a city park that Recreation and Parks is allowing to be restricted on 4107, paid admission only by the event promoter to the general public, the same as Recreation and Parks allowed last year, 4206. 1, no access to use the paddle boat rentals, children's play area, or the rental of pedal bikes. 2, no use of the bike path that goes through Lake Balboa. 3, no use of a considerable amount of walk path around the lake. 4, no use of considerable amount of picnic areas around the lake. Why, please be specific, couldn't the mostly flat, large area north of the waterfall have been used for this event, thus keeping all of Lake Balboa Park, a city park, open to the general public, except for this area which is hardly ever used? The area could have been easily fenced in so that the promoter could charge the people who wanted to attend this event. He could have given wristbands to the people who paid to attend his event so that they could still walk around and use the rest of the park like the general public and leave the rest of the highly used areas of Lake Balboa alone. Please tell me why Recreation and Parks did not think of this option and tell this event promoter this area north of the waterfall is the only area available for his 4107 event that will cause the least amount of impact to the majority of the general public wanting to use Lake Balboa, a city park, on a Sunday. Is there anything in writing from Recreation and Parks or the City of Los Angeles saying that a promoter can close a portion of a city park to the general public unless they pay a fee to the vendor? If yes, please provide me with this information. The way it looks, I won't get any information until after the event. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brewer. Our next speaker is Sylvia Lynn Hawkins, and then Zuma Dog.
Good. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ms. Hawkins. As I address the courts building today concerning the statutes and ordinance of new law concerning everyone that's running for president of a position as candidate or governor, mayor, or council seat, I am asking a request to make new law, new statutes concerning marriage license, divorce, and funerals, concerning free time for them to announce if they are the president of USA, governor, mayor of the 50 states, or council. If they are in the middle of getting a divorce, United States of America, public people must know. They must be informed. I'm very concerned about if they are already divorced or not married. I am very much against a president, governor, mayor, male or female, married to 3 or 4 people, and now not following our USA law or ordinance. I am very much concerned about the wife bound by the husband. I'm very much concerned about the husband not being able to run his
Ms.
position as a
Hawkins,
governor,
marriage is
mayor,
a-
or president.
Ms. Hawkins, marriage is a county issue, so if you can please, I know it's a county one, so please, if you can address it where we have city jurisdiction. Thank you.
You may think it's funny, but it's not funny. People are in the middle of running for president. We have 6 to 9 candidates that are already out of order. And we're not talking about just adultery. We're talking about, are they married, how many, and
I'm
how
sorry,
many
Ms.
of their
Hawkins,
wives
that is
married.
not under our direct jurisdiction, but thank you for those comments. Our next speaker is Zuma Dog.
Yes, I'd like to welcome these fine people here. You gotta love the First Amendment. You can come out to City Hall and tell them what you think. And I'd like to say, speaking to telling what you think, March 25th, 1-year anniversary of the unconstitutional ban on vending on Venice. That's right, 1-year anniversary since the Pandora's box of Zuma Dog has been opened on City Council. Yeah, yeah. Hello to everybody that watches me on TV for the year. We've covered so many important things, and I'd like to say that I see that the mayor vetoed your floor area rights. They want to have floor area rights. They want to have roof rights. They'll sell any space. They want to sell the space in between Zuma Dog's ears if they can get some campaign contributions over it. And that's the problem with the city. After Zuma Dog, after 1 year here in the city, he says the problem with the city is fueled by campaign contributions and expense reports with people's names on them with things that they shouldn't be, y'all, in the luxury skyscraper boxes. And Zuma Dog found out the ethics committee website, y'all. Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Captain Jack, for tipping me to that. And the shady fraud, waste, and abuse is like a river of toxicity that never ends, and it's making my head pop off, y'all. So if you can kind of chill on them illegal campaign contributions or legal ones or whatnot, let's see what else. How come nobody wished Janice Hahn a birthday? Happy birthday. How come nobody wished Janice Hahn a happy birthday? Yeah, I was on Doug McIntyre today, and I said hello to Janice Hahn. I make a referendum to wish Janice Hahn a happy birthday, y'all. Do I have anyone second that motion? I'd like to say the mayor's education plan, y'all, is just a carbon copy of something else. He wasted all that money for an education plan that doesn't do anything to raise student achievement or increase accountability. It's just a bunch of definitions and things that ain't going to raise achievement. Back to the drawing board on that plan, Mayor. Why are we wasting $13 million on a constituent center in Jan Perry's district? It's so close to City Hall. People of the Valley are going to succeed if you keep spending money downtown, y'all. Spend some money in the Valley. We don't need a constituent center downtown, y'all. Put it in the Valley. Oh, I know why, because somebody wants to get campaign contributions, y'all. People in the Valley are going to succeed, y'all. And I don't mean improve themselves. I mean exit the city. Put some money in the Valley.
Thank you,
Less
Mr. Dog.
downtown. Yeah,
Our
Tony
next
Cardenas,
speaker is Miriam Fogler on the Valley.
Stay through all these presentations. She had to take care of her child.
Okay, Donna Pearman, would you like to go next?
Yes. All right, happy birthday, Janice Hahn. And first of all, I'm going to say, let's have a presentation for Zuma Dog, since he's apparently has a anniversary. But anyway, I like to speak. Also like to speak about Lake Balboa and the problems that it would have around Sepulveda Basin. Because when you have a big thing on here with like the Persian New Year, it also encroaches on the area called the Sepulveda Basin, where people go fly model airplanes. And I know one time they had a one of those events, and my boyfriend couldn't get back in. It took him 2 hours. Well, right now I'm not happy about all these way you're doing these things with all these presentations before public comment. So that we have to sit around for hours listening to all these different presentations that can easily have done, go to public comment, go through work, and then do all these presentations. Because it seems like you're only concerned about those people going to have lunch. And I'm against skyscrapers. I know I went to a place where they talk about trying to keep the houses down, not having mansions. And I think that will also be good for the buildings. And by the way, Mr. Garcetti, you have a cute tie. And I guess that's it for public comment.
Thank you, and that color looks great on you as well. We have Jacqueline Hamilton is our next speaker.
Good morning, City Council. I'm Jacqueline Hamilton, and I just have comments on being a victim of crime. I've written a lot of politicians and law enforcement officers and detectives. I'm working on certain investigations now, and I just needed to state a comment on requesting better protection. The investigations that I'm involved in being a victim of crime, identity theft, having people go through my mail and living in the LAX expansion area, the Manchester Square portion of the LAX expansion area, and being a stakeholder. There are several investigations. I'm still being a victim of crime. I was a victim of crime in Jack in the Box restaurant a few days ago with someone throwing a piece of concrete through the glass window and having the glass shatter and hit me, and I have stitches in my head now. I'm just seeking better protection and just not to hear from law enforcement that there are jurisdiction issues in regards to protecting us citizens, especially us innocent victims of crime, and also to state that in being a victim of crime and being involved in a lot of investigations that I'm unable to attend the Congressional Gold Medal awarding of the Tuskegee Airmen, with my father being one of the Tuskegee Airmen. He's deceased, but he was actually the one who won the first Purple Heart Medal and other awards. His picture is also at the Compton Airport in one of the hangars. We're doing a lot of mentoring projects in the communities to try to assist the community, especially the youth. And those of us who are victims of crime, we are just seeking better protection because it is actually putting me at a very detrimental point. And didn't know if it was because of some of my family members who are famous. I have a famous football player family member and also family members who work for some of the law enforcement departments. So just seeking better protection.
Thank you. Noel Weiss is our next speaker. Mr. Weiss.
City Council members, I know Bill Rosendahl will be interested in this. I don't know where he is, but basically, Mr. Rosendahl all last year, and I believe there are probably members of this council who are interested in the status of the Ellis Act. I know Mr. Wesson when he was Speaker of the Assembly, and Mr. Villaraigosa. I don't know what was done vis-a-vis the Ellis Act, but we needed to have some revisions discussed about the Ellis Act. Unfortunately, Mr. Rosendahl, we weren't able to do it. However, Senator Kuehl, Girls Rule, did come up with SB 464. It is an Ellis Act amendment. Bill Rosendahl, I don't know if you're aware of it, but it is SB 464. It's an Ellis Act amendment. And ideally, Mr. Smith said that if we can get a motion by two people to discuss this City Council's position on SB 464, we can leverage that into a greater discussion on other Ellis Act amendments to see whether or not our lobbyists in Sacramento can begin to broaden the perspective. So now we do have a real live bill, Senator Kuehl's bill, AB 464, and basically her reforms are pretty good. She's just talking about having all tenants stay there if there's a disabled, and also avoiding this land use entitlement speculation turnover situation by limiting your ability to Ellis to people who've owned the building 5 years or more, okay? And people can agree or disagree, but the bottom line is, guys, we need a debate. We need policy. You guys are just sitting here. You know, you give out a lot of awards. I think it's really nice, but it's really important that we start talking policy, housing policy, transportation policy, industrial land use policy. It's not happening. We had a discussion today in the anti-gang situation. In it all ties into the mayoral election. I appreciate the opportunity to sit down with Amy. It's going to be great. Net, it's time to move. I'm hoping at least two of you will sign on to this so that Mr. Smith's committee can debate it and the City Council can take a position on this particular legislation and hopefully other legislation. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Ted Hayes is our next speaker. Is Ted Hayes here? No. Elsie Alexander.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the City Council.
I'm here on behalf of Ted Hayes, who was called away on emergency family business. We're here to request the National Guard's presence at our march on Sunday on Broadway at Olympic. We're marching from Broadway to Olympic to City Hall. We're the Crispus Attucks Brigade. The reason we're requesting National Guard help is because the police department has given us information telling us that our lives are being threatened, that we're being threatened by the original March 25th coalition, and we have a permit to march down the street. The original coalition does not have a permit to march. We're going to clash in downtown LA on Sunday, March 25th. Like I say, we have received threats, but we will not have our civil rights taken away from us and go quietly into the night. So we're here to serve notice to the City Council that we do intend to exercise our constitutional right and our city permit to march on Sunday. Okay, there have been threats upon us, launched at us from other quarters, and we're just here to let the City Council know that we are contacted the governor, we've contacted the mayor's office, we've gone through the proper channels, we have a legal permit to go out and demonstrate. We have received these threats. We would like to request the National Guard come along and put up a buffer zone between us, the legal protestants, and the other faction that wants to disturb our demonstration. So what we would like is for the City Council to, one of you all maybe look while we're speaking and maybe even request the National Guard to help us stay alive so that we can exercise our constitutional rights. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Tony Doles is our next speaker. No. David Hernandez.
Council members, you know, it's a good day for governance in the city of Los Angeles. And Wendy, thank you for the meeting in Valley Glen with regards to the gangs. This is regards to the march on Sunday. It'll be a good day on the streets of Los Angeles for individuals with different opinions to express those opinions. But we want to ensure that that there is a safe environment, and not only for the people that are marching, but the innocent people that are going to be, you know, coming home from church, that are going to be shopping, that are going to just be out with their families, and having firsthand experience in a community such as that, when agitators specifically target those individuals who are out for the day to instill fear and then anger and create a mob mentality, the situation becomes very volatile very quickly. And so it's not only for the people that are marching, it's the people that are going to be on the side, but also for the police department. Because what I've witnessed in some of those events is the police department becomes the focus of a lot of that anger and a lot of that hate. And so I guess today is to officially and publicly place the city on notice that in the event that violence does break out, and then next week and in the ensuing months we start analyzing what took place, what should have been done, what could have been done, that unlike some of the civil unrest in the past, that we will be able to have a clearer picture as to who was responsible, who was the one that was supposed to get the call when the tactical alert did not do what it was supposed to do, who is the one that is going to be held ultimately accountable. All of us we agree and disagree on different issues, and that's fantastic, but I think we can all agree that in any environment where we are going to have ideas exchanged, that it must be a safe environment. So once again, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hernandez. That closes our general public comment for today. If we can, Mr. Parks wanted to take one thing quickly out of order, and then we were going to get to Mr. Labange's motion on item 19.
I would just, thank you, Mr. President. I would just like to ask for community support that we're renewing a $50,000 reward motion. We had a homicide occur in the 8th District on Friday, March 26 at 2004 at 11:20, in which Stephen Austin Singleton, and if we recall when this occurred, his parents came here to the council to ask for assistance, but he was standing in front of 4610 South St. Andrews when a gold-colored Lexus approached him Several as yet to be identified suspects walked out of the vehicle suddenly and without provocation. One of the suspects began to fire at Mr. Singleton. He unfortunately expired from those wounds. 77th Division Detective Frank Alvarez, Southwest Detective Homicide 213-485-2147 is the contact number, and we're asking for any public support in attempting to solve this crime. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We can open the roll on this, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved.
Okay.
Okay?
You going to France?
Sure, absolutely. Do you want to do that for Mr. Labange or Mr. Labange on item number 2?
Say hi to Mike Haynes for me. Hi, members. Good afternoon. This matter was before us. Its time has come, and what is interesting, I want all the people from the Coalition for Smoke-Free Parks to please stand right now. This item here, they've been sitting patiently over 2.5 hours, and what's so interesting is not one of them left this chamber to go out and have a smoke. It's there for smoke-free parks. Can I have a quick 5-minute public hearing right now, Mr. President? Because we had none in
Absolutely.
council.
We have the cards right here, so, and thank you all for your patience and your commitment.
Mr. Reagan is here, the Assistant General Manager from Recreation
Carrie
Department.
January is our first, do you want to?
Listen first.
Okay, all right. Come on forward. Come to
You
the,
go first.
to the
You go,
podium there, please.
Good
Welcome.
afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Honorable council members. My name is Kerry January, and I'm project director for the Girls Club of Los Angeles and chair of Coalition for Smoke-Free Parks. We have provided each of you with a packet with information overview of the work of the coalition that we have done. Our coalition has been working on the issue of expanding the current smoke-free park ordinance. Each packet includes a cigarette bus cleanup conducted in 10 council districts, a fact sheet on smoke-free parks, public opinion survey results, information about current tobacco control laws, and letters of support from various organizations and individuals. Thank you for your support and words of encouragement. Also, your leadership towards protecting the health of our children in our city. I thought I would have some props behind me, but I don't, so I won't refer to them.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, if you just come forward and give us your name.
My name's Jesse.
Jesse Vasquez?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon, honorable council members. My name is Jesse Vasquez, and I go to Luther Burbank Middle School. I am very glad you have allowed me to come here to talk to you about smoke-free Los Angeles parks. My brothers and I have attended 7 park cleanups. Some parks we only found a few hundred cigarette butts, and in others we found thousands. Even 1 cigarette butt is too much. I worry about small children like my baby brother, who is always trying to put something in his mouth. It's not just the litter that's bad either. I know the smoke bothers me, and it's not fair for other children who can't play in the park because they have asthma and the cigarette smoke makes them sick. I don't know why people are allowed to smoke at all, since it's bad for them and everyone around them. But please don't let people smoke in our parks where we play. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jesse. Great job. Dora Isela Gil?
Good afternoon. I am Dora Gill, the Advocacy Director for the American Heart Association, Los Angeles County Division. The American Heart Association would like to thank the City Council and their staff for all their hard work and true leadership in promoting and banning smoking in restaurants, beaches, and incorporating a tobacco retail license. The Surgeon General's report states that any level of exposure to second-hand smoke is harmful, especially to children. By protecting our children from secondhand smoke and making parks safer, cleaner, and more enjoyable for families, we're heading in the right direction. The American Heart Association fully supports the smoking ban ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sandra
Woodland.
Woodland?
Yes, thank
Welcome.
you. Good afternoon. My name is Sandra Woodland. I am the Director of Programs with the American Lung Association. And results from surveys and cigarette butt cleanups have shown that the current law, which outlines smoke-free zones such as picnic areas and tot lots, are often unclearly defined and can cause confusion regarding the boundaries of the law. exemptions to a full ban can have this same consequence. This city has shown tremendous leadership when it comes to tobacco prevention and control, and probably, in my estimation, and many of the people that are sitting here today, some of the best leadership in the country, so we really applaud you for that. Especially in protecting its residents and visitors from secondhand smoke through the enactment and enforcement of tobacco prevention and control laws, and we should definitely continue to set that bar high. So, in conclusion, the American Lung Association is in support of a ban on smoking in parks and limiting and eliminating, essentially, secondhand smoke exposure to the public. Thank you.
Lori?
Good afternoon. My name is Lori Kundrat. I'm representing the American Cancer Society today. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency states that secondhand smoke is classified as a Group A carcinogen and has determined that any level of exposure to secondhand smoke is harmful. In addition, last year, the California Air Resources Board unanimously adopted a regulatory amendment identifying secondhand smoke as a toxic air contaminant. A toxic air contaminant is defined as an airborne toxic substance that may cause and contribute to death or serious illness. The American Cancer Society advocates for laws that will help us to further our mission to eliminating cancer incidence and mortality and improving the quality of life of cancer patients and their families. On behalf of the Society and our volunteers, we support a smoke-free parks ordinance and look forward to the City of Los Angeles continuing their leadership in tobacco control. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We still have 36 seconds left, so we'll go with one final speaker card. Donna Pearman out in Van Nuys.
Okay. Anyway, I'm glad you called me because I took off from work just so I can go to this thing. I need to speak on it because I'm speaking from the other point of view, from the smokers' rights. I'm a non-smoker, by the way. I am tired of all these silly restrictions on smokers. This thing has a feedback, by the way. My boyfriend is to consider smoking. He doesn't litter, and this is encroachment on people's rights. People's rights to... Parks are on the outside. Pretty soon you're going to prevent smoking all outside areas. And parks, and I see trash of all kinds, plastic bags thrown in lakes, which is bad for the animals also. So you can't just penalize smokers as the only ones who litter. Anyway, you can't prevent all secondhand smoke. Pretty soon then these smokers will get a big revolt and they're going to go out and smoke everywhere because you won't allow them anywhere to smoke. This is a terrible law. This is a terrible law. Please don't pass it. And let's see, so I have 43. Okay, anyway, yeah, anyway.
Thank you. We actually did go over the 5 minutes, so we appreciate it. That was a little bit extra. Thank you for your comments. That closes our public comment on this one. Mr. Labange, do you want to... Mr. Labange, did you want to continue, or do you want me to call the
Thank
next
you very much, Mr. President, members. Kevin Reagan is here. Ms. Kerry is here. This instructs the department to report back to our committee on how we could list parks in this category. It also instructs the department to talk and address signage content. It also instructs the city attorney and consultant with the department to draft an ordinance. Members, Greg, you may remember when they used to smoke in this chambers. You know, believe it or not, they used to smoke in this chambers. But what we have out here is a coalition of people from Los Angeles who said, hey, this makes sense. And I think it makes sense. It makes sense because it does affect the health and welfare. It also does allow in golf courses or the social halls the opportunity for those who want to have a smoke to have a smoke. But hopefully they'll have a healthy life if they have this restriction and they grow accustomed to it. Enough said. You're going to come back to us. You're going to come back to us. You're confident coming back with the information necessary. Is there any members who need to speak, Mr. President? Okay.
More council members.
Thank you.
Mr. Weiss is our next speaker. to be followed by Mr. Huizar.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to commend Mr. Labange for doing this. I remember about 2 or 3 years ago, Mr. Labange, when I put the motion in for smoke-free beaches in the city, there was a little bit of pushback that you got from people who said, well, it's a public space. You know, everybody has rights, and, you know, what's society coming to? But we were successful there, and I think you're going to be successful here because it is absolutely the right thing to do. As you know, I coach Little League. When we've got these big signs on the fence at our field that say designated smoke-free area. And on the one hand, that's a great thing, so people know they can't smoke near the ball field. And yet, on the other hand, it's always struck me as, well, you're implying that you can smoke other places in the parks? It makes no sense whatsoever. So my hat is off to you for doing this. It's a great cause, and my hat is off to all of you as well.
Mr. Huizar, and then Ms. Gruhl and Mr. Zine.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I, too, want to commend Mr. Labange for bringing this forward. I wholeheartedly believe that prohibiting smoking at our parks is the right thing to do, not to mention the trash and cigarette butts we have to pick up, but knowing that just recently removing the danger of secondhand smoke is now formally identified as an airborne toxic substance by the California Air Resources Board. Today I'm introducing 2 motions to go forward to the Intergovernmental Relations Committee that would support some state legislation that's following some similar goals. First is Senate Bill 4 by Senator Oropeza that will ban smoking in state parks and state beaches. I think that there is also the right thing to do. Also, I'm introducing a motion to hopefully ban smoking in cars with kids. It is Senate Bill 7 that Jenny Oropeza is supporting. In the year 2004, a dear friend of mine, Marco Antonio Firebaugh, whose death was remembered just a couple of days ago, introduced a similar measure. It did not go forward. It is now known as the Marco Firebaugh Memorial Children's Health and Safety Act of 2007. Hopefully getting the city support behind this will help bring that much-needed law into being. So thank you very much for the advocates who are here today. Let's work at the city level, local level, and at the state level to make these measures go forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Huizar. Ms. Gruhl is our next speaker, then Mr. Zine.
Thank you, and I will be brief. You all have been patient throughout today, and want to add my congratulations to Mr. Labange on this effort. When you read this, it says smoke-free parks for the health of our children, and that is so true. With a 3-and-a-half-year-old, I spend a lot more time in parks now than I ever did, and it's just amazing to me that anyone would even consider smoking in a park. That it's supposed to be about going out into the open, fresh air and enjoying that park and having a good time. And we, you know, the statistics show how smoking can influence, and secondhand smoke, and as Mr. Huizar was talking about and supported the legislation before about not allowing them to smoke in their cars with their children. And I know my father, who has passed away, he smoked in the cars with us. And my mom, who, when she went to the doctor many years ago, he told her, you've been smoking, you know, for 20 years. And in fact, she had not been a smoker. It had all been related to secondhand smoke. So we all have instances where that occurs. What shouldn't happen is this happening in parks and protecting our children. So I want to thank all of you who have worked diligently, and I know are going from city to city, park to park, to make sure that this actually gets passed. But want you to know, and you'll hear today, that this City Council is 100% behind you, our Recreation and Parks Department, and we'll be by your side as you go to other parks and other cities to make this happen. So congratulations to all of you. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Zine.
Thank you, Mr. President. If you were smokers, you'd be running back and forth, because smokers always have to go get that nicotine fit, and they're running back and forth constantly. You folks have been very patient, the entire group of you. I appreciate that. For the recs and parks, we currently have some restrictions in play areas. At the beach, I think we have restrictions. What current restrictions do we have, and how will this add to the current restrictions? And by the way, I'm not a smoker. I don't like to smell secondhand smoke. Once in a while, I'll have a cigar with Tom Labange with the governor, but that's very seldom. That's a joke. That's a joke. We don't have the cigar tent here. They only have that at the Capitol.
Yes, to answer your question, Councilman, Kevin Regan, Assistant General Manager of the Department of Recreation and Parks. Currently, in City of Los Angeles parks, smoking is not permitted in any children's play area or within 25 feet of any ball field, organized ball field. Also at the beaches that the city manages, smoking on the beach is not prohibited.
Let me stop you there. Who enforces that?
Primarily, the enforcement throughout the city is done through a policy of self-enforcement, meaning that these locations have signs and that the individual smoker is responsible for viewing the sign and adhering to the policy. However, there is an ordinance in place that can be enforced by the police department, the Office of Public Safety, or city park rangers. Also, if park staff observe smokers in those areas that presently, they will say something to them. Very rarely does a police officer have to get involved unless there's something else going on if that occurs.
Okay. And continue so this will expand it to all park, like Griffith Park, for example, it'd be all of Griffith Park?
Correct. So what would happen is if this motion went on, was accepted, and then eventually an ordinance was put in place, which we do not have today, would cover curb to curb the entire park, every park within the city of Los Angeles. The report that the Parks Department moved forward contains some recommendations for some areas to be exempted. For example, public golf courses we feel should be exempted from the policy, although many of them do lie within public parks. There's a tradition of golfers oftentimes smoking in specific areas of a golf course, and we don't want to have any effects on revenue. We have to be concerned about that.
So they balance the smoking, which is harmful, with the golf, which is exercise.
Right, I imagine
they want to balance it out. Like eat healthy.
Yeah,
now,
that may be what they're doing.
Now, Calabasas has an ordinance that you can't smoke basically anywhere where the smoke's going to generate in the public arena.
Calabasas has it. We did some research and found that Calabasas has a smoke-free city. We did find several other local cities that currently have in place no smoking allowed within their public parks, and those cities are Beverly Hills, Santa Monica, Santa Clarita, San Diego, the city and the entire county of San Francisco, Redondo Beach, Manhattan Beach, Pasadena, Ventura, and the city of San Fernando. They all have ordinances in place, no smoking in public parks.
In the public parks. Is Calabasas the only city that has no smoking within the city
In this
boundary?
group that I just listed, Calabasas is the only smoke-free, totally smoke-free city.
What about the state? Is it the only one in the state that has a smoke-free city?
I'm sorry, I don't have that information.
And getting back to the enforcement, has there been any enforcement, or has it all been self-compliance?
Well, actually, historically, if we look at the enforcement of the current ordinances in place, we have found that there has been some law enforcement actually having to utilize enforcement options, and typically that has been in conjunction with another crime. Gang members who might be engaged in some other activity, smoking, that oftentimes can give an officer a reason to go up and engage that particular suspect. Also, there's been times when there might have been other activities going on where a park employee has asked a person to stop smoking, they wouldn't comply, and then the police had to be called.
So that's another tool for law enforcement to combat the gang problems, especially when they try to take over parks.
It is actually a tool for law enforcement.
Excellent. Okay. Tom Labange. Tom Labange, a good measure. Thank you, Tom Labange. And to all you non-smokers, keep that patience going because it's almost 1 o'clock. We'll be out of here by 4 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zine. As our last speaker from the council queue, so let's go ahead and open the roll. Close the roll. Please tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Congratulations, and that will go forthwith right away. Well done. Next item, please. I'm sorry. Before we do that, I was informed, if we can reconsider 29 for the motion we believed was in already, we actually was submitted afterwards, so if we can reconsider 29, if there's no objection, please open the roll. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
If we can submit the motion that Ms. Perry has, and it will be continued still, and that's when we'll do public comment on 29. until the same date. Thank you. Next item, please.
Next item, Mr. President, is item number 3, and that was called special for, I believe, cards from the public.
Okay. All right. We can call forward at this time. Out in Van Nuys, Miriam Fogler. I think she had left. Is Donna Perriman, are you still there? Van Nuys? It's on item number 3.
Yeah, item number 3. Yeah, this is for tax exempting the multi-housing. Yeah, another big bunch of projects over there, and the downtown area. We don't, let's see. I wish Miriam Fogler had stayed here, but anyway, this sounds like another bad bill that can't, there's no regulating what's going on over here, so it will go out of control. So, anyway, I'm going to be leaving, so anyway, that's it for me for right now.
Okay. Thank you very much. That closes our public comment on this. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Item 7, called special by Councilmember Weiss.
Mr. Weiss, item number 7.
Yeah, I just called it special, Mr. President, so that we could send items 2 and 4 in the report back to committee, and the rest of it we can approve today.
All right. If there's no objection, we will move Mr. Weiss's motion. I'll second that. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Item 18, called special for cards from the public.
Okay. Item number 18, I'd like to invite forward this time Zuma Dog.
All right, let's see what the next item up for bid on the City Council's Price is Right. We got special event fees. D, Persian New Year celebration, $1,000. I'd like to thank the Persians. That was the food here last week. I say they win the City Hall cook-off for the best food all year. Fantastic. So they told me that it wasn't coming as city money, but I guess that's $1,000 put to good use. So please approve that, and thank you to the Persians. Let's see, we got item number K. It's for the 4th of July show, 4th of July talk already, and that's in Marina Del Rey. I'd like to also put an amendment to call that Homeless Appreciation Day, because you got so much homelessness now in Bill Rosenthal's district due to the bad policy, so let's just add that along with it. And then we got item number O, which is opening for the Airbus. Oh, we got to pay $24,000 just to watch that Airbus come in with a shaky landing when it wasn't even supposed to come here. It was going to go to New York and Chicago, but oh, we got to have a fly in here too, so Mayor Antonio can have a photo opportunity with the Airbus. Make Mayor Antonio pay for it out of his own money. I ain't paying $24,000 for a photo opportunity for some Airbus. It's basically a high-density, airplane, y'all. It's a perfect airplane, a high-density airplane to go with a high-density housing, y'all. And anyway, while we're talking about the air, okay, let's see what else we got here. We got motion number our 12th grade graduation ceremony. Let's see, I'd like to say regarding graduation ceremonies, so that we can have more of that, I'd like to have at this graduation ceremony, if we can have parents, talk to the parents about how they can get more community outreach for their children, how they can take more active roles. Oh, the clock's ticking. It's like, where's Bob Barker, y'all? Okay, number U, it's relative to declaring a DVD release party. And the event is going to be paid for by the sponsor, but I'd like to know, what is the DVD party? It doesn't say here, it just says DVD release party. I want to make sure it's appropriate for a special event, because that's in, I think, in the Valley, and we know what kind of DVDs they make there. And that closes Zuma Dog's special event fee from Mayor Pro Temp Zuma Dog while the mayor's out of town, and that's always. Thank you.
That closes public comment. I'd like to open the roll on special event motions, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Item 20, called special for cards from the public.
All right. Zuma Dog, item 20.
When you call me back to back, it looks like I'm hogging up all the time, y'all, and monopolizing the time here at the meeting. But it seems nobody else in the city cares, y'all. This is something I've been talking about. This is for banners to put to get more community, more involvement in the neighborhood councils. That's something I've been talking about. Part of my 14-point plan for the city to put quality and productivity. The neighborhood councils, they need much more participation. It's basically a joke. Some of these neighborhood councils, they're voting on things with 3 members. And so again, the participation. Let me open up here and look at the item. real quick to see if there's anything. Oh, you know what? Yes, that's right. Installing street banners, inviting stakeholders to become involved in neighborhood council. Valley Village! Oh my goodness, Valley Village! You got to show up for your neighborhood council, put those banners up so people can come talk about Valley Village. We got huge problems in Valley Village because you got this condo. They're kicking out tenants without paying any attention to their rights. They're building this Valley Village condo, and it's on top of no sewage and narrow roads. All the other roads have 4 lanes. This one only has 2 lanes, and you got it. Put them neighborhood council banners up for Valley Village so everybody can come up and complain about the high-density project where they're kicking everybody out and gentrifying the community around no sewage, y'all. And I'll waive the rest of my time. But thank you at least for putting up the banners, because Zuma Dog says the #1 thing this city can do that can empower the community is to let them know that neighborhood council exists. And it's very distracting because there's so much stuff that I'm losing my train of thought, plus my hash brownie ran out after 2.5 hours of presentation, so let's move on to the next item. Thank you.
All right, closes public comment. Remind our speakers to try to keep our comments germane to the subjects that are before us. If we can please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Okay, if we can take 24 next, please. In 24, we have called special from a card from the public. Zuma Dog number 24. And just FYI, you have 1 minute left according to the city attorney. Yep.
Okay, thank you. We have 2.5 hours of presentation. They're going to parse 1 minute, y'all, but that's okay. Let's talk about the LA Live project here. Okay, here's the problem. Where's Tony Cardenas? He'll love this. We're putting way too much money into downtown. All these projects, these $1 billion, $2 billion boondoggles, whether it's the LA River or the LA Life or the Grand Avenue project or all these things. We already destroyed downtown with Bunker Hill when you took out all the residencies over there and put in a bunch of parking lots for land speculation. And now everybody, downtown ain't the economic harbor it used to be. So the point is, I think that the Valley is ready to start a succession motion because there's too much money being poured into downtown, and this proves it. These are all just boondoggles to put these projects to make construction money, people. That's what's happening. Show up to your neighborhood councils. Go to the planning committees. Housing. The city's being taken away. There's too much construction money. These projects are just being built just to have the construction money, and that's wrong, and there's no infrastructure. And put some money into the Valley. They want it, y'all.
Thank you very much. That closes our public comment. If we can open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. Items 23, 28, and 29, we had cards for Mr. Dog, but he used up the time on those, so there's no other public comments. We will open and close the public hearings. Any council members wishing to be heard on 23, 28, or 29? Oh, sorry, not 29, we continue. 23 and 28. Seeing none, go ahead and open the roll on those two, please. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Next item, Mr. President, is item number 34, and that was called special by Councilmember Perry.
All right. Ms. Perry, we have item number 34, Ms. Perry, before us. That is the item number 34.
Okay, here, if you could,
Recognize you over Mr. Zines.
as much as I would prefer not, yes, please, if you would allow this item to go forthwith as it's in committee next week. This is about the dumping of people who are homeless in the Skid Row area, so it really needs to move very quickly, and we want to support State Senator Cedillo in this.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else wishing to be heard? Sorry, I almost said Mr. Zine, but that was who we just heard from. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Mr. President, there is a card on the closed session item.
Yes, let's take that at this point. J. Miguel Flores. Thank you for your patience and welcome. 2 minutes to address the council. Council, this is public testimony before we go into closed session on this legal matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable President Garcetti. My name is J. Miguel Flores. I'm a longtime resident of Boyle Heights. I'm also an attorney. I just want to voice my support that you support the settlement in Flores v. City of Los Angeles. I wanted to thank the city attorney for my colleague for coming up with a creative solution for this dispute, and I hope the council approves it. Part of the settlement will require will be an investment for both Boyle Heights history and the investment of Boyle Heights in the future. Part of it entails the restoration of the remaining portions of the Vladeck Center, and the other portion, the investment in the future, is in community, selected community groups will receive some benefits. Again, I'll just want to voice my support for the settlement resolution in Flores v. City of LA. Thank you very much, and I hope the council approves. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Flores. That closes public comment on this item. Now, in accordance with California state law, we will go into closed session to deliberate on items that are before us that are of a legal nature, and any actions we take that require public notification, we will do that in open session and revote if necessary. We will be back shortly. Thank you. If we can please clear the council chambers. All right, we're back in open session. We just voted on a settlement. If we can take that open session now,
And I
please.
believe, Mr. President, the city attorney was going to summarize that for the council.
Happy to hear that summary. Mr. City Attorney? Bueller?
I believe Mr. Huizar has one comment to make.
Thank you, Mr.
Huizar?
President, City Attorney. Right before the vote was taken, I asked the City Attorney if it's okay or if I should recuse myself from this action. My daughter attends Puente Learning Center, one of the beneficiaries of the settlement, and I mentioned that I had no say whatsoever in the recommendation for which organization should receive the money. These were simply brought as recommendations to my council office. City Attorney believes I'm okay with just voting on the item, but I should disclose that my daughter does attend one of the schools benefiting from this action.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Please open the roll.
And to explain what they're voting on, city agrees to donate $50,000 to mutually agreed upon nonprofit groups, allocate funds up to $1 million for restoration of the interior of the historic building located on the project site, provide in-person project status reports to the Boyle Heights Neighborhood Council, coordinate trash removal activities during project construction, and pay $2,000 of petitioner's costs. $2,000.
Thank you. Let's open the roll on the settlement, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
That is approved. Next order of business, please.
Council has motions for posting and referral.
Those are posted and referred.
There are excuses on the desk. Council President Garcetti requests to be excused Friday, May 4th, to leave at 10:30 for city business that meets council policy.
Please excuse.
Councilmember Hahn requests to be excused June 26th, 27th, and 29th for personal business that meets council policy.
That excuse is granted.
Councilmember Wesson requests to be excused Wednesday, April 4th, to leave at 11:30 for city business that meets council policy.
That excuse is granted.
And Councilmember Parks requests to be excused April 25th to arrive at 11 a.m. for city business that meets council policy.
That excuse is granted.
And that clears the desk.
Announcements, colleagues? Ms. Hahn.
Thank you. I wanted to announce the third annual City of Los Angeles 5K Run Walk for Victims' Rights, which is sponsored by our mayor and our city attorney. And it will be held this Sunday, April 1st. No, that's not this Sunday. This a week from Sunday, April 1st, at Point Furman Park. And it's a 5K run walk that will raise money that will go to community-based organizations which benefit which provide services to victims of crimes in the area of domestic violence, sexual assault, gun violence, and hate crime. So I'm announcing this a week ahead of time to make sure that the Point Furman residents know that this will be taking place, and to also encourage people who would like to participate in this to contact the city attorney's office or the mayor's office. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hahn. Any other announcements, colleagues? Seeing no announcements, are there adjourning motions today? Do you have? If I can ask everybody to please rise in council chambers for our adjourning motions. Mr. Rezar, did you have?
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Saddened today to adjourn in the memory of Apolinar Jr. Flores. Apolinar is a brother of Yoli Flores Aguilar, the recently elected school board member for LAUSD District 5. Mr. Flores died in his sleep on Saturday, March 17th, at the age of 34. The cause of his death has not yet been determined. Junior, as he was known, was a GIS specialist for the LA City Department of Public Works. He worked for the city since 1998. Although he did not have any children of his own, Junior adored his 3 nephews, Cesar, Jonathan, and Adam. He was a graduate of UC Berkeley, Go Bears, where he majored in petroleum engineering, and of Huntington Park High School. He was a hardcore Lakers fan. Junior will be missed by all who knew him and loved him.
Thank you, Mr. Rezar. Ms. Perry, and then Mr. Rosendahl.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm doing this not only for myself, but for Mr. Labange. Kathy Sipe was a longtime Silver Lake resident who lost her battle with lung cancer. She was very well known and much admired as a columnist, and her reputation was set with her wonderful and irreverent column, Our Times, for Buzz magazine, that she wrote under the nom de plume Margot McGee. And she had a very special gift for exposing and attacking hypocrisy, which she always did with humor and flair. And most recently, she solidified her reputation as a strong political voice with her weekly column called From the Left Coast for National Review Online. She was a great lover of animals, and I was reading some of the blogs downtown last night, and she was much discussed and clearly much loved. She requested that people make donations to the Humane Society, and she's survived by her daughter Maya, her father, mother, sister, and I also wanted to sign this.
Thank you. Mr. Rosendahl.
Thank you, Mr. President. J. Sean Covington. J. Sean fought for years with a bad heart. He never let his condition get him down, and he will be remembered as a really happy 14-year-old boy with a great big smile. He was a 7th grader who was homeschooled. He passed away yesterday afternoon as his heart just gave out. He will be greatly missed by friends and family. He is survived by his mother, Tanisha McNeil. May he rest in peace.
Thank you, Mr. Rosendahl. Mr. Zine.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have 2. Los Angeles Reserve Police Officer Ken Lewis passed away March 20th. Reserve Officer Ken Lewis was born October 24th, 1933 in Fairfield, Nebraska. Appointed to the Los Angeles Police Department as a reserve officer April 1986. He was a commercial photographer for industrial publications. One of the pictures he took was used as a final inspection picture for the space shuttle for NASA. Was a resident of West Hills since 1962. One of his hobbies was target shooting. Really proud to be an LAPD reserve officer and to be a member of the department. Also recipient of the West Valley Reserve Officer of the Year in 1998. Also married to his loving wife Sharon for 42 years. He will be greatly missed by his family and friends. Survived by his wife Sharon, his son who's a Los Angeles County Sheriff's Deputy, also a former Reserve LAPD officer. May he rest in peace, Reserve Officer Ken Lewis. And my second adjourning motion is for Frank D. Fargo, passed away March 15th. Frank David Fargo, 85 years of age, of Stockton, passed away on Thursday, March 15th. Born September 11th, 1921 in Salt Lake City, Utah. Graduate of University of California, Berkeley in 1947. Served as an administrator in Santa Maria and Davis, California. Also assistant city manager and planner in Monterey and city manager in Stockton. Was a United States Army veteran of World War II. Married to his loving wife, Miriam, for 59 years. Is the father of Heather Fargo, the current mayor of Sacramento, and I serve with her on the California League of Cities. He'll be greatly missed by his family and friends, survived by his wife of 59 years, daughters Heather and Laurel, son Wells, and 6 grandchildren. May Frank D. Fargo rest in peace.
Thank you, Mr. Zine. Madam Clerk, please call the roll. To remind our viewers and the public, we will not be in session on Tuesday and Wednesday, as we will be in Washington, D.C. lobbying. We will next be in session a week from today on the 30th of March, and we'll be meeting here in City Council chambers. Thank you and have a great weekend.